White, a newlywed couple, make an appearance in Judge Lauren's courtroom today. Mrs. White is trying to save her marriage by proving that Mr. White is indeed the father of their 3-year-old daughter. She agreed to have cheated in the past, but the results today will help her gain her husband's trust back. Mr. White disagrees. He said he's ready for a divorce.
Ms. White, you've opened your case because your last and only way to save your marriage and family is to prove to your husband that he fathered your 3-year-old daughter, Savannah.
Yes, Your Honor.
You admit you've cheated in the past, but hope once the results are revealed, your husband will trust you again. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. White said his wife was having her ex-boyfriend over while he was at work. His neighbors told him. This prompted him to snoop around her social media, and it led to a quarrel between them. The ex-boyfriend showed up. This confirmed his suspicion that something was going on between them.
Just the other day, she was at my mother's, and she woke up and she asked, "Where's Daddy?"
And I can see this is just tearing you apart.
It is.
It's just eating away at you. I can see that. Explain to the court how it has been for 3 years to have doubt.
It's been rough and emotional because when it first all come about to where I had the suspicions, it was she was having an ex-boyfriend come over while I was at work.
Mr. White said a week after their wedding, his wife was constantly cheating on him. Everyone in the courtroom, including the judge, was stunned. She asked Mrs. White if the allegations were true. She said they were, that she was suffering from abandonment, issues being an adopted child and all.
You just don't have any trust in this relationship.
No, because from a week after we got married until February of this year, I've been catching her cheating constantly.
A week after you got married?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. White, have you been cheating?
Yes, but I have abandonment issues because I was adopted. So if he's not showing me the love and affection that I need.
She said their anniversary is in 2 days, that she wanted to make this right, that she's certain he's the father of the child. She moved in with her husband when she was 19 years old and got pregnant after 8 months. They married after the birth of their first child, and she started cheating immediately.
You admittedly have been cheating. You've had to open this case to prove paternity of Savannah in hopes of saving your marriage.
Yes, our anniversary is in 2 days, and so I want to make this right so we can better our marriage and prove that Savannah is his.
Mr. White found out when the baby was 6 months old during an argument. His wife told him that there's a high chance he's not the father.
Mr. White, when did you find this out?
I didn't find out for sure until she admittedly told me when Savannah was 6 months old that there was a 50-50 chance that Savannah wasn't mine.
And how did you get to a place where you decide you're going to tell him, Miss White?
We got into an argument and we ended up splitting up, and I was over at my mom's house.
Mr. White presented text message evidence between his wife and another man on Valentine's Day. She planned to go spend it with him because Mr. White didn't get her anything.
My father and mother's issues and seeing it, and I'd rather not have my kids in that environment where they're seeing mom and dad argue over something. They don't need to see it. They either need to have family together where there's no issues, there's faithful and everybody's sticking to it, or we do it as separate parents, but we still sit there and have a civil.
Mr. White presented pictures of his wife sexting other men to the judge. He said he took his wife's phone into his possession after seeing all the text messages. Mrs. White said she didn't do anything sexual with the man on Valentine's Day. She just went over to talk.
And I assume, Mr. White, since you handed this up to the court, this is not your body part.
No.
This is what you found in her phone.
Yes, this is the gentleman that she went to his house on Valentine's Day.
Tell me what happened behind that story, Ms. White.
We didn't even do anything on Valentine's Day. We just sat there and talked. That's all we did on Valentine's Day.
Mrs. White says she wants to turn over a new leaf. No more cheating. That's why she's here in court to determine the paternity of the kids and move on with their lives.
You're saying you're not getting what you need in the marriage. So why not just leave the marriage? Why keep doing this if you are going to engage in this type of activity?
Well, I called the court just so I can get the results of the kids. And
Mr. White, with tears in his eyes, narrated how he loved his kids and she couldn't live without them, that his wife was emotionally manipulative towards him. Her current pregnancy is still under scrutiny because of her cheating habits. Only the results can lay this to rest.
Mr. White, you are her father. How do you feel?
I feel happy.
How do you feel, Ms. White?
relieved because he's a great dad and I want him to be all of my children's father.
Mr. Jackson says that 41 years ago, he was falsely accused of fathering a child, and that accusation has ruined his life in all ramifications. He hopes to prove today that he is not the father of the defendant, Ms. Jackson. Ms. Jackson, on the other hand, claims that he is the only man she has ever called dad, and she has no idea why he is trying to deny her. The case starts this way.
Mr. Jackson, you say that 41 years ago, you were falsely accused of fathering a little girl, and that accusation has ruined your life, cost you tens of thousands of dollars, steady employment, and your health. Today, you are here to prove the defendant is not your daughter. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's sad. Judging from what he just said, it seems like Mr. Jackson has been through a great deal of stress, having to take care of Ms. Jackson and be her father. But if he claims to not be the father, why then was he named as her father?
I've been paying support since I was maybe 30, Your Honor. I started working for a private contractor for 18 years, Your Honor. I did not know that I owed child support. And I get a job with a paycheck. It's when I find out I owe child support.
Damn. Now it makes sense when he says that child support ruined his life. $25,000 in debt is crazy. The fact that he is even 63 years of age makes it 10 times worse. The question still remains. How did he end up paying for a child he claims not to be his? This definitely didn't happen out of the blue.
And it mentioned, things like, he didn't think that, he was the only man that my mom slept with. And
How old were you when he was saying this?
I was like 9 or 10 or 11 years old.
At 9 or 10, you were having to process that information?
Yes.
Oh, so that's what she means when she calls him her homie. Interesting. Ms. Jackson says that she had a relationship with Mr. Jackson, but it was not the father-daughter type of relationship you would expect. A homie can't be your dad, that's for sure.
The time I was married, and I knew it was wrong, but I did it.
So what happened when she told you she was pregnant?
I told her it was not my child, Your Honor.
Did you say that because you didn't believe that was your child? Or did you say that because you knew you were married and you knew you were wrong?
At that time, I believed a little both, Your Honor.
Okay, that's honest. I want to know.
Yes.
His wife must really love him. Going back to him after he cheated on her with Ms. Jackson's mother? Wow. At least he admitted to the fact that he denied the child because he didn't want it to ruin his marriage. But denying a child doesn't mean the child isn't yours.
How did you know as a child that he knew, Mr. Jackson, where you and your mother were?
Well, he's on my birth certificate first and foremost.
He is?
Yes, he's on my birth certificate.
Okay. Do you have that birth certificate here?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it. Jerome, can you hand me that? So, did you know you were on the birth certificate?
No,
did you
I
sign
didn't.
it?
I never signed nothing, Your Honor.
Now I see what's going on. Mr. Jackson's name is on her birth certificate, but he says that he never signed the birth certificate because he was never at her birth. She also claims that the name written on the certificate is what Ms. Jackson's mother used to call him, meaning she's the one that put the name on the birth certificate. Wow.
So that I could buy ice cream. And he told me he didn't have it. And I said, well, do you have 10 cents, 15 cents,
Juanisha.
a nickel? And he said that he didn't have either or. But I would see him go to the liquor store and buy alcohol or whatever he would, buy for himself, but he couldn't even give me 25 cents.
Ouch. That is coming from a place of heart. You can tell from the way she's talking and looking at Mr. Jackson dead in the eyes. He really hurt her as a kid, and it seems like she has not forgiven him for all the trauma he put her through.
Have family members that stutter as well.
And then she talked about, in her testimony just recently, having to deal with a slight level of stuttering. Is the severity or lack thereof any indicator?
No, you can have someone in a family who is severely, profoundly a stutterer, and then you can also have someone that is a mild stutterer as well.
Even with the expert analysis, Mr. Jackson sticks to his story and says that Ms. Jackson is not his daughter. Phew, it's honestly starting to get tiring at this point. If only her mom was here to give her side of the story. Maybe trying to get the truth won't be so difficult.
This is your stepfather?
Yes.
And what testimony would you like to offer to this court today?
Well, as far as my dad, he's cool, and I know that growing up, it was hard for him to do what he wanted to do for us because he had no money. We still ate, we still had clothes and everything,
And there goes the confession from Mr. Jackson's stepson. He claims that his dad would never have denied Ms. Jackson if he knew that she was his daughter. Even with the debt he owed, Mr. Jackson always made sure his kids were well taken care of. At this point, I think we should see the results.
Mr. Jackson Jr., you are her father.
Mrs. Strickland needs to prove to her husband that he is the father of their 4-year-old daughter, Nancy, because their marriage is on the verge of a collapse. Mr. Strickland needs the DNA results today because he is up and ready to leave if he finds out he is not the father of the child. Well, let's get to the bottom of it all, shall we?
Ms. Strickland, you have brought your husband to court to prove he is the biological father of your 4-year-old daughter, Nancy. You say your marriage is strained and claim positive paternity results will save your relationship. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Looks like there's trouble in paradise for these two. Mrs. Strickland begins by telling the judge that she loves her husband so much and would never betray his trust for anything in the world. If that's true, what's making him doubt that he is the father?
Take me back to how you met.
We'd met online on a dating site, and we talked on there for probably 6 or 7 months. And then I got her phone number and called her, and we talked for a while, and we were really good friends. We stayed best friends. We tried dating at that point in time. Unfortunately, I was in a bad relationship.
That's really beautiful to listen to. It's as if Mrs. Strickland was the woman who had come to fill the empty spaces in his life. It's crazy that all that sweetness and love has turned into him thinking that his wife has been unfaithful to him.
Obtain a home for us in a new city, and I was looking for a job. And in the 11 months, I went back and forth from where we were living in Dyersburg to Memphis, back and forth. And in that time, it created jealousy issues. He thought that maybe I was seeing other people while I was going down to Memphis to see my children.
Let's be honest, that would make anybody start to have suspicions. Mr. Strickland says that when she initially started moving between cities, he did not have an issue with it. The issue started when she no longer wanted him around and started to change her attitude towards him.
Gone over there, and she'd been to Memphis for probably about a week. And it was kind of rough because, of course I missed her, I loved her. And when she got back, it was the same thing as before. It was, she didn't want me around her, she didn't want me near her.
Well, if there's anything we know, it's the fact that they both see things from two separate perspectives. Mrs. Strickland says that Mr. Strickland was the one who lost his affection for her belly while she was pregnant. Mr. Strickland claims that she was the one who was being distant.
When they first brought the birth certificate in, I had signed the paperwork. They refused it because me and her were not legally married. She was still legally married to her ex-husband.
Oh.
So they brought in the second birth certificate. She requested to have her maiden name put on it.
Okay.
They said there wasn't a problem with that. She signs the paperwork, they send it off, we wait in the mail for it to come in.
And finally, the big bombs start to drop. Mr. Strickland shows his evidence where his wife refused the information under the father section of the baby's birth certificate. I wonder what excuse she's gonna have for doing that.
Contact the court. Well, I decided to contact the court myself. And I found out I literally could walk in there and within 6 months have it done. All I had to do, I could file a petition for the court for a paternity test. Once it was situated and it was proven whether I was the father or not, I go to the county clerk and then pay my money.
Man, do I love a man who knows how to go about his business? Haha. Mrs. Strickland looks like you have a lot of explaining to do. Mr. Strickland says that changing the name of the birth certificate won't take up to 6 months. Their daughter is 4 years old now, and she still hasn't done it. That's all shades of fishy.
Mr. Strickland, is this the only doubt you have? Do you have any other doubt?
She had actually started talking to a guy on the same site we were on that me and her met. And I'd seen the texts. I stopped that immediately.
So you saw text messages in her phone?
Yes, in her phone.
What did the messages say?
Things talking about how beautiful she was, how much he'd like to get to know her, how much he'd like to get to meet her.
Well, that explains why her husband is finding it difficult to believe that she's telling him the truth. In her previous relationship, she was unfaithful to her ex-husband. And let's not forget the fact that Mr. Strickland caught her texting another man. His doubts are very much validated.
I actually have those pictures.
I'd like to see them. Jerome, will you hand me that evidence, please?
Yep.
Please describe to the court what these pictures
Those are
indicate.
pictures that I actually myself have taken.
So you took the pictures?
Yes.
But she sent them to another man?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm not going to lie. If I were to be in that same situation, I would lose my mind. It would feel like I was sharing her with another man. That definitely had to hurt when he found out. All right, I think we've seen enough. Let's get down to the bottom of this whole drama. Here are the results.
Mr. Strickland, you are the father.
All her life, Ms. Lewis has known herself to be Daddy's little angel. She is devastated now that her daddy, Mr. Palmer, is saying that he is not her father. Mr. Palmer, on the other hand, says that he has always known he was not her father. Trust me, it's a crazy case, but here's how it all starts.
Ms. Lewis, you are devastated that after being Daddy's little girl, you are now forced to drag your father to court to prove that you are his biological daughter. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
There's no way that would not have hurt her as a child. Ms. Lewis says that her dad, or supposed to be dad, broke the news to her when she was 13, that he was not her father in front of all her other siblings. Who does that?
Mr. Palmer, do you remember this day that she says you gathered everybody up?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why would you gather everybody up and tell her she's not your biological daughter?
Because I knew all the time she wasn't my daughter, and I just thought it was just time to tell her.
It always starts with the rumors, doesn't it? Mr. Palmer says that he loved her mother and they were inseparable at the time. They were even supposed to get married, but his friends called him a fool because they told him that she had been moving around with another guy.
Pink and white. I never will forget that. I was in love with her.
What happened with Ford, the car? What you said you were...
That was her boyfriend's car.
That was the boyfriend's car.
It was in their drive.
Was she in the car when you saw her?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you see?
She laid down, her leg was sticking out the side of the car.
Well, I guess we now know why his friends were calling him a fool for claiming to want to marry her mother. Mr. Palmer claims that Ms. Lewis's mother had a boyfriend, and he could remember how they used to play love in the boyfriend's car. But Ms. Lewis claims that her mother denied all of that and told her it was not true. Phew.
Reached out. Me and my sister reached out to him.
Well, that's what I'm curious about as well. So at this point where you have this bomb dropped on you at 13 years old, and you're told that he's not your biological father, where does it go from there?
When he told me I didn't come back for about 4 years, 3 or 4 years. I think when I came back, I was, 17?
I mean, in that picture, they sure do look alike. What still makes the whole case a mystery is why Mr. Palmer decided to take care of her and be there as a father when he believed all this, while that he was not her biological father. Who knows, maybe he's just a good man. We'll see.
That's right, Your Honor.
Did you bring any proof of that?
Over here, Your Honor, right here.
I'd like to see it.
From the time I left for war in May 1968.
Let me follow along with you. So this is your timeline. You say you left to go to war.
In May of 68.
May of 68. Let me first say thank you for your service.
Going by the explanation and the evidence he just displayed in the courtroom, he does have a point. The dates of when he was at war and when Ms. Lewis was born just do not add up. I think we can understand why he claims to not be her father.
Is September 6, 1969 your birthday?
Yes, Your Honor.
It is, in fact, your birthday.
Yes, Your Honor.
And so when Mr. Palmer outlines this chain of events, his conclusion is that you would have had to been conceived sometime in November of 1968.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it definitely does, Judge Lauren. It definitely does. Apparently, Mr. Palmer had moved on and got into another relationship with another woman, and that's why he continued to deny that he was and is not Ms. Lewis's father.
You are her brother.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you believe Mr. Palmer is Ms. Lewis's biological father?
Yes, ma'am, I do. I was there. I was there when he told her that he was not her father, but I believe that.
Oh, you were there on that day at the farm?
Yes, ma'am, I was. Yes, Your Honor.
The look on his face says it all. One of Mr. Palmer's kids steps in and says that he has another sibling who was born around the same time with Ms. Lewis, and Mr. Palmer was around to take care of the child and be a father to him. Why then is he denying Ms. Lewis?
Child of yours, born to you and your wife, born September 14th, 1969, just 8 days after when Ms. Lewis was born.
That's right, Your Honor.
So if you were there to conceive this child, why wouldn't you be there to conceive that child?
I probably got home on a leave or something like that. I left on leave. I don't know exactly.
Come on now, Mr. Palmer. That has to be the dumbest excuse I have ever heard. I mean, both children were born with a difference of just 8 days. I have a feeling he just doesn't want to tell the truth. He was definitely around during that period.
He missed out on a whole lot. He missed out on my graduations. I wanted my daddy to walk me down the aisle when I got married. He wasn't there for that. I have 5 girls and 1 son. And that 1 son I had, I would have loved for my dad to be there, and he wasn't there. But I know this turnout is gonna be...
Believe me, I'm also praying that the results reveal Mr. Palmer to be her father. If it doesn't turn out that way, Ms. Lewis is going to be heartbroken. Oh well, here are the results. Let's see what they have in store for us.
Mr. Palmer, you are her father.
Ms. Curtis has been left homeless and is in need of help because the defendant, Mr. Buckley, has refused to accept being the father to her child. Mr. Buckley says that all she has done is cheat and lie, and that the results would prove that he is not the father of the child in question. Here's how it begins.
Miss Curtis, you say this court date is extremely important to you. You're here to prove to your ex-fiance, Mr. Buckley, that he fathered your 22-month-old son, Xavier, because his denial has left you homeless and in need of help.
Yes, Your Honor.
Damn. Going from having a home to sleeping in a homeless shelter with a child is devastating. Ms. Curtis is definitely hurt by the situation. Even talking about it makes her tear up. I really wonder how they got to this level.
His landlord sent me an eviction notice. I had just had surgery.
Is that true, Mr. Buckley?
Yes, that is true, Your Honor, but I allowed her to live in my apartment at that time. I was being nice to her. She got mad at me because I was with someone else.
This is going to be one hell of a case. Mr. Buckley says that he did not want a relationship with Ms. Curtis, and when he told her this, she said that she would make his life a living hell. That's the only reason he kicked her out of the house.
So you don't believe you can have children?
No, Your Honor.
Why?
Your Honor, I was in a relationship before, and we tried to conceive a child. We went to fertility specialists, and we were on medicine and kept up with ovulation dates and the whole nine.
Even my eyebrows are raised after hearing that. Mr. Buckley confesses and says that he has never been able to get any woman pregnant in not one but 2 different relationships. So for Ms. Curtis to come out of the blue and say she's pregnant, it definitely sounds suspicious.
Whose is it?
No, you didn't.
That's pretty much what I said.
No, you said you told every other girl you were in a relationship with, congratulations, who's the father? But I was different, that you were willing to step up and be his father, which you haven't done.
I haven't done that because of you.
Because of me?
Yes.
It's just a drive away.
Not Judge Lauren looking at these 2 grown adults like they're having a chaotic family session. Well, Mr. Buckley says that Ms. Curtis had her own apartment, and he has no idea why she never wanted to leave his own apartment.
Spending Christmas with you? Who was I having sex with? Your brothers? Your uncle?
No.
What happened during the conception period? It was during the holidays?
Yes, it was Christmas.
She told me.
I was supposed to go home for Christmas, and I couldn't afford to go home. So he volunteered for me to spend Christmas with him and his family.
Well, he started it. He definitely deserved that after saying she had plenty of hours to sleep around. Oh well, they continue with their back and forth yelling, and they just keep dropping truth bombs. Judge Lauren better step in before they rip each other apart.
So take me to the day you gave birth, Miss Curtis.
I was in labor for 13 and a half hours. Mr. Buckley was with me for the whole 13 and a half hours. I have pictures of him at the hospital.
I'd like to see those.
I ended up having to have an emergency C-section because little Xavier's oxygen level dropped and he was in distress.
Would you blame her for falling in love? I mean, she literally just said that Mr. Buckley went into tears when he heard that the baby might not make it during surgery. Why then is he acting like he never cared about the baby?
Something that we made together, something that I never thought was possible.
Something that I don't think is possible, Your Honor.
But in this photo, it doesn't look like. I see tears in your eyes, Mr. Buck. What do you feel when you look at that picture?
It's impossible to describe. There's no way to put it into words.
Let's just say the battle is between Mr. Buckler's mind and heart. Deep down in his heart, he wants the child to be his because he wants to be a father, but his brain constantly tells him that it's not possible because he has tried and failed more than once in his previous relationships.
Bunch. Miss Bunch, you are Mr. Buckley's
friend.
All right. And what information do you have concerning Xavier's paternity?
Your Honor, I have a lot of information. I actually brought a sketch with me.
I would like to see it. The exhibit here?
This right here, Your Honor, this is my house, my back door. And this is Mrs. Curtis' front door. And as you can see...
Okay, I guess we know why his doubts are strong. Mr. Buckler's friend walks up and explains that she knew that Miss Curtis had a boyfriend, and aside from that, she was also sleeping with several other men. It's crazy that she found out all of this from her back door.
Certificate, father's name, Xavier Buckley.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's you.
Correct.
You signed it voluntarily.
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
And is there a child support order?
Yes, Your Honor.
There is.
Yes.
How much per week are you obligated to pay?
I'm not exactly sure.
He was supposed to pay $216 a month.
And there they go again with their yapping. Ms. Curtis says that he is in child support debt because he quit his job, all because he does not want to do anything for her child. Honestly, I think we've seen enough of their drama. Here are the results.
Mr. Buckley, you are not his father.
Stupid liars on paternity court.
I watched through my windows and watched raindrops fall, and he wasn't there. He told me he was coming. I waited and waited and waited. He never showed.
I wasn't with anybody else.
Obviously, you were with someone else.
Jesus, Lord.
Xavier was born 40 weeks after conception. December 24th to September 24th is 40 weeks.
Imagine two sisters entangled in a web of paternity drama, and that too for years. Well, that's what Shanice and Kira were stuck with. Moreover, one of them wanted the defendant to be a father, and one did not. All the while, baby daddy had a ton of doubts. Let's get started on this one then.
When's the last time you saw this man?
Mr. Harden actually came to our house in Minnesota with his 2 sisters, in which we all just spent the day together. The last I recall, I was 11 years old, and my sister Kiera was 10.
11? Mm-hmm. And you're 26 now?
Correct.
So, Mr. Harden had been dodging child support for 2 daughters he's not sure are his. He's got his suspicions, but his daughters called him a big, fat liar. Though, on the other hand, he goes into quite some detail about their dear mother and her shenanigans.
Their mother didn't allow me to come around them at all. There's no way that I would not want to be around my daughters. I asked for a paternity test from day one. I used to catch Ms. Gannell with several different men during the course of our relationship. I would actually come in and see men running out the door.
Well, that would certainly raise all kinds of alarms. Starting with the eldest daughter, the baby daddy drops even more shocking details around the time she was conceived, and the time after as well. Mommy had been a naughty girl.
When you found out she was pregnant, did you think the baby was yours?
There was a possibility, Your Honor, but
you only felt there was a possibility?
Yes, because she had slept with 2 of my friends prior to that. I found that
During
out,
the time Shanice was conceived?
Shanice had already been born 6 weeks. So between that time, I waited. I didn't want to deal with the situation, so I got away from her.
Next up, the woman of the hour stepped up. Yep, dear old mommy. She had quite a lot of questions and allegations to answer. Man, it's gonna be a long day for her. However, as soon as they start, the 2 don't seem to be on the same page. So much for it being easy.
There could be one more person.
Yeah.
Okay, Shanice, did you know this?
Yeah.
So you do know this? Okay. Who's on the birth certificate for Shanice?
Just me.
No father listed. How about Kiera?
No.
So you're paying child support, though.
That's
you say
correct.
you owe almost $90,000 between the 2 girls.
It appears the defendant got served, and hard. According to the baby mama, he signed the documents willingly. Obviously, Mr. Harden did not agree to that version. Actions speak louder than words. And so, his doubts continue to haunt him.
I was issued a court order because I was late for court in the initial court date, and they ruled as default. They actually took my truck driver license, Your Honor. I used to drive trucks before this came about. They took my truck driver's license, my livelihood.
Because you were late to court, you were named the father by default.
Named daddy by default? Moving on from that miserable note, the baby daddy claimed to have asked for a paternity test on a few occasions. However, the plaintiffs rejected that claim faster than the flash. Someone here's lying for sure.
Your Honor, I begged for a paternity test. I
I
petitioned
am
the court.
25 and 26 years old. You had all this time to do it. You should have did this way back when. There's no doubt you should have did this.
I did it immediately.
Why are you letting us call you dad when you doubted this whole time?
No, you don't understand.
Oh, the daughters did not stop there. Nuh-uh. They weren't buying a single word coming out of the baby daddy's mouth. Moreover, they suspected him of denying paternity solely because of back pay. And you won't believe the excuse he gave for that one. And the shade is being thrown on top of that.
Only time that he's denied us. We're just now hearing about this. We went our whole life. He's been calling us our dad. He's been saying he loved us, he missed us, he wants to see us. He's never in our whole life denied us until
Your
now.
Honor, right over here and I'm right over here. I'm right in the middle. I don't know.
Oh no, the shade throwing didn't stop there. Not at all. Mr. Harden took it up a notch and claimed Mama was all happy because of the money she was getting for child support. Yep, guess he didn't like getting his checks garnished.
You can believe in a possibility and then you can not believe in a possibility, but it doesn't change the fact that it's a possibility.
You're absolutely right. If we come to find out that he is not the father, then I will take that matter into my hands.
Your Honor, this is why I'm 50-50 because after she was starting seeing those checks, she was more than happy.
Moving on, the baby daddy shared how tough his life had been with all this. And the eldest daughter didn't like that very much. Oh, she gave him a piece of her mind. From having similar features to the same sleeping habits, she covered a range of paternity aspects for him.
I acknowledge it.
Your Honor, this particular situation has not only destroyed my life, it has destroyed our relationship.
You're looking like the good guy right now. If you look at me, David, we look just alike. If you look at my sister, you guys walk just the same.
Drum roll, please. It was time for the grand reveal. Yep, the results were in, and Judge Lake was ready to get this whole thing over with. Let's see what cards these guys are dealt.
Mr. Harden, you are her father.
I told you.
All right. I'm so sorry. Like I said, I'm devastated.
A courtroom showdown of epic proportions is coming straight your way, peeps. We've got a mother, a child, and a denial that's left them homeless. Yup, the cruelty of the baby daddy knew no bounds, it seems. But he claimed to have valid doubts. The stage was set. Let's dive right in.
I grew up with a father. I know how important it is to have a father in your life. With him being in and out of our lives and kicking us out, and kicking us, not only me, but his son out of his apartment. We landed in a homeless shelter. I was known as resident 1625, sleeping in a twin-size bed with my son.
That's not true.
Sharing.
You did not kick her out.
It's a classic tale of love gone sour. Mr. Buckley admitted throwing the mommy out. However, Miss Curtis seemed to have conveniently left a tiny detail out, and baby daddy wasted no time hopping on the I can't have kids train.
She told me she was gonna make my life a living hell while living in my apartment, and that's why I called my landlord. I don't think I can have kids.
You don't believe you can have children?
No, Your Honor. I was in a relationship before. We tried to conceive a child. It didn't happen. We separated. She ended up having 2 other children.
It seemed the defendant had been trying to have a mini him in previous relationships. Sadly, no luck. However, the baby mama appeared to be more lucky than what's believable. Mommy was not happy about that situation.
You said you told every other girl you were in a relationship with, congratulations, who's the father? But I was different, that you were willing to step up and be his father, which you haven't done.
I allowed you to live in my apartment. You
and
left
still didn't
because
come
I didn't
and
want
see
to
him.
be with you.
No, I didn't leave because I didn't want to be with you.
Yes. Every
No.
time I came over there, it was pure heck.
We lived together.
I allowed you to. You had your own apartment.
Hard to believe these guys were once an item. With the words they are now throwing around at each other, no love was lost here. In a nutshell, Mommy had issues with the daddy, and Daddy had serious issues with the mama. Poor Xavier is stuck in between.
I know who I was with when I conceived.
I know who you were with too, and it wasn't just me.
So staying at your house and spending Christmas with you? Who was I having sex with? Your brothers? I was supposed to go home for Christmas, and I couldn't afford to go home. So he volunteered for me to spend Christmas with him and his family.
Your Honor, she also told me she had sex with someone while she was pregnant.
Now, what happened on the day of birth? Surely, with all these nagging doubts, Mr. Buckley would have had a hard time being in the hospital. Turns out, the baby daddy was busy having a heart-to-heart moment with the baby.
They took me in for an emergency C-section, and when I woke up and they wheeled me by the nursery to see him, Mr. Buckley was standing there with tears running down his face. That was the moment that I fell in love with Mr. Buckley. He'd been standing there since he came into the nursery until I got rolled to my room about 2:30. That's a couple hours him standing there just looking at our beautiful son.
In his defense, though he stated he was swayed by his heart, however, his mind did manage to pull him back from that momentary lapse. As his suspicions were real, the defendant brought a witness along with an exhibit to back him up. And boy, was that enlightening.
What exactly could you see from your door to
I
hers?
could see men coming out of this door and her running up to the Africans up at the other apartments up top.
The Africans I
They
was
were
teaching English to because he came from Africa and
That's
didn't
a lie.
speak English.
That is a lie.
He didn't speak
He spoke English to me.
Thank you so much for your testimony, ma'am.
Now for the moment we've all been waiting for. So eagerly. The results! Someone's pants were surely about to be on fire, as the results would lay down all the truth. Let's see which party comes out clean out of this mess.
Mr. Buckley, you are not his father.
Oh, baby.
I'm very sorry. Miss Curtis.
I wasn't with anybody else.
Obviously you were with someone else.
I need you to stop this right now, babe. He's not the father.
Miss Sanchez, along with the defendant, were entangled in a legal and love limbo, all thanks to a tiny 8-month-old secret. These guys were spiritually married. Yeah, now that was a new one for me too. But the denial was stopping them from being legally married. Here we go.
It's important to me to save my marriage with my husband because this has gone on for 2 years of accusations and lies and the fact that he doesn't trust me. It's very hurtful and it means a lot to me. We prove once and for all that he's the father of my son and put it all to bed after this.
Time to start from the beginning. Imagine a Tinder meet-cute, a swift romance, and some questionable choices. Their relationship was like a speeding vehicle, but with a heck of a lot of trust issues. He swiped right, she swiped back, but there were a few unexpected detours, like a night with someone else. Oh yeah!
We actually hung out. She came over, we had some drinks, one thing led to another, and we had sex the first night.
The first night you met?
Yes, it was the first night.
That's definitely a super swipe, super like, whatever you called it.
Super swipes led to super fun times. However, neither of them was on the same page on the concept of exclusivity, especially the baby mama. Oh, she needed to get her definitions right, because she was being painted as less than trustworthy, and coupled with the baby daddy's friends telling on her, well, that was the last nail in the coffin.
I showed my friends pictures of her because I'm hyped. I'm like, she beautiful, she matched with me, we met. She's at a bar giving somebody else her number, it looks like.
Nope.
So it just started to form like issues
Nope.
with trust. If she slept with me the first night that we met, she probably could have slept with him the first night.
Well, Miss Sanchez was honest. Gotta give her that at least. But wait till you hear this story now. It appears baby mama went on a grocery trip, and when the baby daddy went to take the groceries out, you won't believe what he found in the trunk.
We went to the grocery store and we came back, so I go to the trunk to get the groceries or whatever, and I find men's boxers in the trunk. Now, I know for sure these aren't mine. I'm like, whose are these? These are not mine.
Moving on from that EW scene, we head towards the conception timeline, and it's a dizzying whirlwind of accusations and desperation. Miss Sanchez was sure about the date. However, baby daddy had proof otherwise. Uh-oh.
He took me to Vegas for my birthday, and on that trip is when we had sex again, unprotected, and I know that I conceived October 20th. That's my birthday.
I have proof that October 15th, a friend of mine, Mr. Stevenson, seen her at a bar talking to somebody else.
Baby mama was just denying everything left and right, but something was fishy. Baby daddy's doubts were not easing up, quite the opposite. And they took a nosedive when, during an argument, mama rang a bell that so should not be rung.
You don't need to come to the hospital because he's not yours. We're good.
What? Miss Sanchez, after all that, you ring that bell?
In those moments of tension, trying to hurt him, I'm trying to upset him. I know exactly what to say that's gonna upset him, and I knew that would be the number one thing.
Hold on to your seats now, folks. It's the truth time. The judge was ready to open the sealed envelope and reveal the answer. That could either salvage their rocky love story or send it crashing into oblivion.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Turman, you are the father. You are the father. That is your son.
That's amazing.
Baby Zoe's paternity was more tangled than a bowl of spaghetti. Her mama had her love with the defendant on the line as he was tired of her lying and cheating. Will this paternity puzzle finally be solved? Let's find out.
We've been on again, off again, Your Honor. And the end of most of our arguments is he likes to throw that in my face, whether Zoe's his or not. And Anthony knows that that's his daughter. I mean, without a doubt.
But Mr. Callender, you do question it.
Yes, ma'am. It's like a dark cloud hovering over us.
So, how did this love story begin? It appears these guys had a brief relationship and then went separate ways. But lo and behold, those guys rekindled their love again. However, the circumstances weren't too favorable for the baby daddy this time around.
So you thought this relationship was pretty much over?
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
Did you have to sneak around, though?
She would come see me on lunch breaks, you know, after she got off work.
I was not trying to be disrespectful to a man that I'd been with. He knew it was over. We were both doing our own thing, and I wasn't trying to flaunt my new relationship in front of him.
It appears mommy was playing both sides of the field, and that made the baby daddy feel like a dark cloud of uncertainty was following him. Their living situation was a thorn in his side. But what happened after she moved out? Well, that was just the icing on the cake.
He shows up with soup and a teddy bear because she's sick, but how did he know that she was sick if they haven't been communicating?
Soup and a teddy bear?
He would bring me flowers to work and left a soup and a teddy bear on my front porch.
But this is a man that you were allegedly not sleeping with.
Right.
And this wasn't just it. Miss Polzin and her stupid lies were being exposed all over. After the teddy bear and soup fiasco, Baby Daddy took a look at Mama's phone, and a surprise was awaiting for him there.
I dialed from her phone, and I'd seen that his number was in there, and just out of curiosity, I clicked on it, and it said they had had conversations for 30 minutes, and I asked her about it, what they had been talking about, and she said, it was just, he was wanting to know if she wanted to get a few more things from the residence that she had left behind.
Moving on, after being at every appointment, the Baby Daddy was suddenly not allowed to visit. And the phone call from the ex? Well, let's just say that was the last straw that broke the camel's back.
Oh, the ex said, could it be mine?
Yes.
Now, how did you find this out?
I was standing around when he had made the call and was just listening in, and I heard her say, is there a chance it's mine? But according to Rachel, they hadn't had any kind of sexual contact for 3 or 4 months before we had started seeing each other.
Oh, the notorious ex was a bane of Baby Daddy's existence. Yup. Even after going their separate ways, he was still very much present in their lives. So much so as asking the plaintiff for one last hurrah, if you catch my drift.
As you were getting the last few things out of your house, he had made the comment, you said that he would ask for one last shebang.
Oh, really?
Yes, he did.
But you declined?
No, of course I declined. I had been over that relationship for a very long time, and I had only been sexually active with Mr. Calendar.
Mr. Calendar's mother, too, was emotionally invested in this whole situation. In the last desperate attempt, Baby Mama presented an exhibit listing all the reasons she believed Zoe to be the defendant's daughter. Wasn't too convincing, though.
Him and Zoe both have the same attitude. They are very particular about things, such as the way they like their foods and things like that, and if they don't get their way, they'll throw a fit till they get what they want. And I do not act like that at all.
Same temperament?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The moment of reckoning was here. The DNA results were in, and they could change everything. Both sides were anxiously waiting for the revelation. Will the paternity cloud be lifted? We are about to find out.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Calendar, you are the father. You are the father, and I'm so happy I could give you the result all of you so desperately wanted. So, what type of relationship have you developed with Arrow, Mr. Nicola?
2 cousins, 1 baby, and a family ripped in 2 by betrayal, guilt, and a decision no one saw coming. This is a paternity dispute seasoned with a slow-motion emotional collapse between best friends, who also happen to be blood. Cordell Nicola wasn't just playing dad. He was dad. This was beyond a casual bond. This was a full-time father, emotionally invested and deeply attached.
I come home from work, he smiles, crawls over to me. I leave, he cries until she comes home. He's just like my little buddy.
And what does that relationship mean to you? Can you tell the court?
It means more than anything, 'cause he's the first one I'm actually going to get to see grow up.
Looming over the bond Mr. Cordell has with his potential child is the unspoken truth that haunted him every day. If Arrow isn't his, that means he's his cousin's son, and that cousin is standing just a few feet away. This family fracture runs even deeper. Both mothers of the potential fathers are identical twins.
And the thought that this could be your cousin's baby, does that eat away at you?
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm happy because it'd be his first. And I'm happy for Kayla regardless because me and her had our miscarriage.
One of the potential grandmas is convinced her son is the father. The other says her son signed the birth certificate because the mother picked the more responsible one. Hence, that makes her son the biological father. The twins no longer speak, and it's not just the grandmas at war. The baby mama is caught in the middle.
Your mother submitted a statement to the court. She's one of the identical twins. And Miss McCartney sent this statement. Cordell's the dad. He's been dad since day one, and I've been grandma since day one. I'll continue to be grandma either way.
Miss Calla Wilson claims she was readily available to get a DNA test done to confirm her child's paternity, but due to some reasons, it never happened, and that's why we're here today. Also present in court is a younger sibling of the twin grandmas. You wouldn't believe the strong accusations she makes about Ms. Wilson.
What do you know about this man?
I do know that she tells Nathan all the time, "You're the daddy." Then she'll go back to Cordell and say, "You're the daddy." I just want it done and over with. And if it's Nathan, that's cool. He needs to be a daddy, be in the life. And if it's Cordell, she needs to leave Nathan alone so he can go on.
Nathan Eddy believed he might be Arrow's father, but when the baby was born, he didn't get a phone call, he didn't get an invite, he only got a text. And to make matters worse, he couldn't even get a ride to the hospital. The young man felt like she didn't want him there, like she already made her choice. That moment fractured something in him, something that still hadn't healed.
I was told that she had a doctor's appointment that day, and I told her to keep me updated, and I had no transportation. She went under emergency C-section, and I just got a message that says he's here with pictures.
Did you feel like all of a sudden you were left out?
The way that the baby was born and he moved away and stuff, it made me feel like she just wanted him to be the dad regardless.
Calla Wilson says she chose the man who showed up. As you would expect, Judge Lake's response was as stern as you would expect, and the audience couldn't hold back their reaction. But the question remained, what if the man she left out, the man she says wasn't ready, actually was the baby's real father?
So, Ms. Wilson, did you put Mr. Eddy or Mr. Nicola on Arrow's birth certificate?
Yes, put Cordell.
Oh, you put Mr. Nicola on the birth certificate?
Yes.
But how did this secret love triangle between blood relatives begin in the first place? Nathan and Cordell are first cousins, best friends since childhood, and practically brothers. Until one day, Calla, who was dating Nathan, started confiding in Cordell. They became just friends, then best friends. Then one night, it went too far. And from that moment forward, 3 lives were entangled in a secret that could destroy everything.
He's a very good guy. I mean, when it comes to that, we were best friends, and that's kind of how we still are. And that's what I kind of wanted it to always be, and that's what led up to the sex. We were like best friends, and then it led to more than that.
As the court session unfolds, the tension thickens. Mr. Nicola can barely look at his cousin. Mr. Eddy can barely speak without choking up. Even through tears, pain, and public exposure, these 2 young men speak with respect, dignity, and humility. No accusations, no shouting, just heartbreak.
So now, what is your relationship like, Mr. Eddy and Mr. Nicola? I mean, I will give you this. I have seen families come up in this courtroom and act a plumb fool over less drama than this. But you 2 have not spoken an ill word about the other. You all have both cried when you talk about the baby and one another.
The twist, the entire family's at war. While the cousins maintain their respect, their mothers, identical twins, have completely fallen out. They're both convinced their sons are the rightful father. 1 baby, 2 cousins, 2 grandmothers, and 1 birth certificate. And no one knows who actually belongs to who.
Mr. Nicola, you can't really even look at your cousin right now?
No, Your Honor.
You can't?
No, Your Honor.
What do you feel? Why can't you look?
Betrayed.
Betrayed.
But we have been trying to get back to where we were just for our family, because
this is a family that imploded from the inside out. The cousins, the twins, and even Calla, the mother. Whatever the DNA result reveals, can their bond ever be as solid as it once was? The young men seem cool with one another. But can we say the same about their mothers? Well, the truth is finally here. Let's hear the DNA test results.
The biological father is Mr. Nicola. Ms. Battle, you are desperate for today's results because the defendant's doubts surrounding the paternity of your son, Timothy, have put your marriage plans on hold. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
You hope to prove that Mr. Sidwell is 2-year-old Timothy's father so you can move forward as a family.
When When a grocery store flirtation turned into late-night prayers for intimacy and a 2-year-old child, the result was less romantic comedy and more full-blown paternity crisis. And now, one woman's wedding dreams are dangling by a thread, all because her fiancé doesn't believe he's capable of being a father.
But I'm here to get clarification for Stephen so we can move forward in our relationship and get married. He is Timothy's father, and we can move forward after that.
Because right now, this is holding you back.
Yes, ma'am, it's holding us back from our relationship, building it up. We like it to stand still just because of him not knowing that Timothy's his biological child, so I want to get that cleared up for him so we can move forward if that's the case.
Ms. Battle walked into court not just seeking the truth, but desperate to get her life back on track. She's been with Stephen Sidwell for nearly a decade. They laugh together, raise their child together, call each other soulmates. But her dream of becoming Mrs. Sidwell? On hold, because Stephen doesn't believe little Timothy is his child. Why? He has some medically backed reasons.
I'm here today because I don't think I can have kids in him due to my medical condition. And I feel as though if he's not my kid, then there's no marriage. So I want to get the results to find out, is Timothy really my kid?
This couple's origin story? A rom-com in the making. She was stocking up on ribs and wings for a party. He rolled up with a pickup line straight out of Food Network. They didn't exchange numbers. They didn't go on a date. But fate stepped in. At the health department of all places, Stephen saw her across the room and made his move. But instead of asking for her number, he did something else entirely.
Meats. And man walked up to me and asked me why I got all this meat and there no vegetables. I said,
So you met at the grocery store, he saw the meat in your basket and said...
And that was, hey.
This time you didn't leave without the phone number.
No, ma'am, I bought her a phone.
From the moment fate led them to each other at the healthcare center, they were inseparable. They began making plans of moving in together as there were no brake pads in their relationship journey. Now, the normal questions will be, did they have sex? If so, were they unprotected?
And the relationship started from there?
We've been talking ever since.
So, Miss Battle, how does this relationship, it seems like you all started off in such an endearing way. How does it turn into a sexual relationship?
Everything was cool until doubt and diabetes showed up. Stephen claims their relationship was off and on. During the time of conception, he says they weren't even speaking. She says otherwise. Ms. Battle remembers the prayers. She remembers the struggle, but she also remembers the nights they made it work.
we was in a full-blown relationship.
And so you were together?
Yes.
You say you weren't seeing anybody else? No. Mr. Sidwell wasn't seeing anybody
I
else?
can't say that.
Okay. So, Mr. Sidwell, you had bought some more phone.
Stephen wasn't just skeptical. He was sure about his claims. After being diagnosed with diabetes, he believed his reproductive system was out of commission. So when Ms. Battle said she was pregnant, he felt conflicted. After the baby was born, his head shape was a deal breaker for Sidwell. That's right. In a court full of emotional wreckage, a forehead almost derailed a whole future.
Timothy was born. Was Mr. Sidwell there?
Yes, he was there. He was happy father in the hospital. Happy to see his baby and play with him for a minute. I dozed off and woke up and he was gone.
He was gone.
Stephen admits he signed Timothy's birth certificate. Why? His reason is understandable, but not so logical. Judge Lake warns him about the implications of his supportive action. And while Stephen hoped a negative test would get his name off the paperwork, she made some things clear to him. So now, he's in too deep to walk away without answers.
I tell you this much, y'all.
What'd you say?
I say this much. That's why I'm here today, because if it's proven that he's not my kid, then therefore I know I won't be the father.
Comedy aside, Mr. Stephen doesn't believe he can have kids, so that's why his doubts are so paramount. But if there was even one successful night, could it have created life? Stephen took the stand with more than doubt. He brought gospel-level testimony. The courtroom couldn't help but laugh. Neither could the judge. But underneath the humor, a man genuinely convinced his condition made him infertile.
You know, I don't think I could have kids because of my medical condition. I was diagnosed type 2 diabetes, okay? And it affected my sexual drive. It actually affected my...
So Judge Lake brought in a medical expert. Dr. Jamila Gator took the stand with clarity, Diabetes can impact male fertility, nerve damage, blood flow issues, erectile dysfunction. But does that mean Stephen couldn't father a child? Not exactly. Apparently, it only takes one successful moment, even if it came between blood sugar crashes and desperate prayers.
So when it comes to fertility, especially male fertility, diabetes is a triple threat. Diabetes damages the fine nerves and blood vessels, which can lead to erectile dysfunction.
So, in this case, could he have fathered a child?
Ms. Battle says she knows the truth. She's betting everything on one night, one moment, one answered prayer. And Stephen, he's torn between the man he wants to be and the man he fears he might become if this child isn't his. And for her, this moment will either bring a proposal or permanent heartbreak. I think it's time to settle this once and for all. Let's move on to the most important part of this hearing.
Mr. Sidwell, you are the father. Ms. Whalen, you admit you've been in a sexual relationship with Mr. LeBlanc, a married man, and claim he is the father of your 2-year-old son, Vincent Whalen. Mr. LeBlanc, you are determined to prove that you are not the father of Miss Whalen's son.
2 women, 1 married man, and now possibly 2 children born just 1 year apart to 2 different mothers. This isn't a love triangle, it's a paternity battleground, and the child caught in the middle is just shy of 2 years old. And it started with a pregnancy test. Miss Whalen says she was honest with Mr. LeBlanc the moment she suspected. She took a test, then another, both positive.
Well, it started back when I was pregnant. He was staying in my house. It was one night I was telling him that I might be pregnant because I hadn't started my menstruation, so he went out and got some pregnancy tests.
Now it's time to hear Mr. LeBlanc's side of the story. If she's indeed his mistress, then it's evident that they've had countless sexual relations. So why is he doubtful about paternity if that's the case? Or does he have concrete reasons to deny paternity? Perhaps he's questioning paternity because of his wife. Well, mister, you were man enough to cheat on your wife, so you should be man enough to handle the consequences.
Mr. LeBlanc, when she told you she was pregnant, what were you thinking?
I was in disbelief. I didn't want to believe it.
Were you worried about how you were going to be able to tell your wife?
I was, yes, Your Honor. I was worried, and that was the thing. That's why I didn't want her to be pregnant, because I didn't know how to.
Mrs. LeBlanc was already devastated by the betrayal, but this wasn't the first time her husband had stepped out. Turns out, their 3-year-old son, Jaden, has a half-sibling, conceived under almost identical circumstances. Same mistress, same cheating husband, same heartbreak.
I found out about Vincent through a text message through my husband.
He sent you a text?
A text. No phone call. No phone call. No.
A phone call's not even good enough for that.
No, I need to see you face to face. Can I speak with you face to face? None of that. It was through a text message.
While the women sparred in court, Mr. LeBlanc stood quietly in the center, saying little but responsible for everything. The dynamic, chaotic. Mrs. LeBlanc says she's done. Ms. Whalen says she's not surprised, and both women accuse the other of being easy. But Ms. Whalen states one undeniable truth, and as expected, Mrs. LeBlanc fired back with her own truth.
My wife was steady putting me out. I really didn't have nowhere to go.
Well, and then he knew that was easy. It was easy access. He knew it was,
Well,
you
it
know,
wasn't really
he knew
easy, but
when he went over there, it was whatever.
Why not let
he
him
could do
stay?
what he wanted to do. You know how you see a welcome mat and you can walk over it. He knew he could do that over there.
Here's something you definitely see coming. Some rumors have been swirling around that Ms. Whalen had some relations with her another man. Mr. LeBlanc claims he was even confronted about her by an unknown man. But what has that got to the paternity of the child in question? Is that convincing enough to make the court believe that he isn't the child's father? I don't think so.
There was rumors, Your Honor, going around that Miss Whalen had slept with the neighbor. I was confronted at one time by a guy pulled up on me in a pickup truck. He was like, "Oh, you know who I am?" I was like, "Nah, who are you?"
What? Did you get any information that she was sleeping with somebody?
There was rumors going around that she had slept with this guy.
Mrs. LeBlanc said it plainly. She's hit her breaking point if this child is his. For her, it's not about spite, it's about self-preservation. The trust is gone, the pattern is exhausting, and she refuses to be humiliated a third time. But Mr. LeBlanc, he swears he wants to save his marriage. It's harder when you keep making the same mistake.
Do you believe Vincent is your husband's child?
No, Your Honor, I do not.
Why?
Her promiscuity. Promiscuous, very promiscuous. Like I said, the mailman, the milkman. Not only that, you're sleeping with a married man, you know.
You ain't
So
gotta
why?
sleep with
So
a married
hold
man
on.
if he
So
come
why
to
not?
me. You ain't
Why
gotta
not?
sleep with a married
Why
man
not?
if he come to you.
Why not?
Hold on.
Promiscuous.
But But then came the twist. When asked directly if there could be any other possible father, Ms. Whalen broke. Her admission silenced the room. Even Grandma Sharon was caught off guard. But that's the reality of the case. A man who stepped out twice, a wife on the edge, and a mistress who may not be so sure after all.
Or is there a question? Is there possible?
It might be. I might have had a moment. Okay. I mean, I wasn't committed to this man, nor was I married to this man. So yeah, I might have had a moment.
Well, go ahead and tell the truth then, because that's why we're here.
It wouldn't be paternity court without a baby insult. And just when things couldn't get more heated, Ms. Whalen's grandmother took the stand and dropped the quote of the day. Grandma Sharon didn't hold back. She's convinced Vincent belongs to Mr. LeBlanc based on his habits and pattern of behavior.
What is it that you have to add? Do you believe Mr. LeBlanc is Vincent's biological father?
Yes, ma'am.
Why is that, ma'am?
Well, for one thing, I know he was living with her at the time. He came to me and a family member and told us why he was staying there.
Ms. Whalen wiped away tears as she admitted something we all knew. She says she's strong. The young woman says she'll raise her children with or without him, and that she doesn't expect him to stay. But deep down, Judge Lake saw the truth. She wants him to stay. In truth, no woman wants to raise her kids all by herself without their father.
I can see the tears in your eyes. Honestly, I know why. You are not in an easy position. Please tell Mr. LeBlanc how this makes you feel.
I mean, it hurts, but then it doesn't, because at the end, I'm gonna take care of my kids regardless. But they didn't ask to be brought here.
Vincent is almost 2 years old, and today's DNA test will determine whether his half-brother is also his half-brother by blood or just by accident. And if the DNA confirms Derek is the father, that's the final nail in the coffin of a failing marriage. This is a family torn, a mistress left standing, and a child waiting to know who he really belongs to. It's time for the DNA test results.
Mr. LeBlanc, you are the father. Mr. Andrews, you and your mother are in court today suing your ex, Ms. Corbett, for paternity fraud because you claim she forged your signature on the birth certificate of her 5-month-old son, Quinn Andrews Jr., who you believe is not your biological son. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
5 months ago, a baby boy named Quinn Jr. was born. He was given a name and was claimed by a man. But now, that man is standing in court, saying he never signed the birth certificate and has serious doubts he's the father at all. And to make things worse, his mother is sitting right next to him, ready to expose everything.
I don't know, Your Honor. I didn't sign anything, and somehow my name still managed to get put on the birth certificate. I have a copy of it right here.
Let me see that birth certificate. So you say somehow your name just appeared on the birth certificate?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
Quinn Andrews Sr., name of father, right underneath. But you didn't sign it.
No, ma'am.
The name is there, but there's no signature, no cursive, no pen stroke, no nothing. Just a typed out Quinn Andrews Sr. And who's he pointing fingers at? The mother of his alleged child. On the other side of the courtroom, Ms. Corbett isn't backing down. She says the only reason Quinn's denying paternity is because of his mother.
No, it's no way possible for me to just put his name on a birth certificate. The only reason why he's saying that he did not sign the birth certificate is because his mother told him not to sign my child's birth certificate. I mean, anybody that has kids, and she should know because she has enough, knows that in order for the name to be on the birth certificate...
And all 8 of them is well taken care of, baby.
Theirs wasn't a love story. According to both sides, the relationship between Quinn and Ms. Corbett was rocky from the start. Mr. Quinn's mother's version, she claims the young woman was promiscuous, and that's when things start to unravel. Both women didn't hold back one bit.
We were in a relationship, but I could never say it was actually a committed one because every time we hit a bumpy road in our relationship or we get into an argument about anything, it could be simple. Quinn is out the door, right back to his mama.
Quinn's reasons for doubt? 4 of them. A condom wrapper he found under the couch, one he says he didn't use. A man running out the back door, allegedly caught red-handed by a neighbor. A text message from another man that read. And finally, the big one. Word on the street that she was being flipped by 3 or 4 guys while he was working out of town. Ms. Corbett denies it all. Quinn actually brought a diagram to court, complete with driveways, fences, and exit routes, to prove someone snuck out of the back door of her apartment.
While we was together, I happened to clean up the house one day where we stayed at. I found the empty Magnum wrapper under the sofa, which she claimed was mine, which it wasn't. All of we used, I throw it away.
It was his.
Tell him about that day that you came home from work and you had another man running out the back door.
Yet, Ms. Corbett defended her position that the child belongs to Quinn, no matter what anyone thinks. She says there was no one else, no other men during the time of conception, no unprotected sex with anyone else. So, could it be that Mr. Quinn and his mother made up those stories to deny the baby? Or is the young woman just a compulsive liar? It won't be long till we find out.
Ms. Corbett, so you are saying that these allegations are not true?
They are
you
not
did
true.
not
The
sleep with
only
these
reason
men.
why he is saying that is because he is standing on side of her. And the other time, whenever I talk
Liar.
to Quinn, I don't hear none of
You're
this.
a compulsive,
Me and Quinn,
habitual liar.
me and
Stop
Quinn,
lying.
As the drama escalated, emotions reached a boiling point when Ms. Corbett accused Quinn of threatening to abandon the baby. Mr. Quinn's response was nothing short of absurd. This is the kind of dysfunction that's been surrounding baby Quinn Jr. from the moment he was born. And according to Judge Lake, it's enough to make her deeply concerned.
he was gonna drop my child off at a fire station.
Your Honor, I told her that. I specifically told her that just to get her to move because she lied to me and told me she was threatening me with the police.
When he get tired of my baby, he won't drop him off at a fire station. You just heard him, huh?
This baby has been on Earth for 5 months. This is not funny. We've got to get focused.
But then came yet another twist. Quinn's mother, Ms. Smith, testified that her son wasn't the only man in the picture. She claimed there was another name floating around. Another potential father. Whoa! Are you for real, Grandma? If that's the case, now we understand why Mr. Quinn and his mother have so much doubt.
Sleeping with him unprotected, and you were also sleeping with someone else unprotected during that time, then they both potentially could be the biological
that I was sleeping with unprotected. Point blank, period.
that you were using protection.
No.
So at that time, it is your firm testimony that you were only having sex.
When questioned about it, Ms. Corbett admitted that yes, she had a relationship with another man, but insists it was before she conceived. Now, how can we be certain that she's telling the truth? Could this be the same guy that allegedly ran out the back door when Mr. Quinn came by the defendant's house the other day?
Who was the other person?
Name somebody.
I went to school with.
Oh,
Somebody went to
I know
school
he was
with.
talking about. That was somebody who I was dealing with when me and him was on break. But no, that was way before I even conceived my baby.
How much earlier, before the window of conception, were you having a relationship with this other guy?
He knows that. He know when it happened.
All right.
I told him it happened. And he
All right.
came right back.
This baby is 5 months old and caught in the middle of a war zone, and it's not okay. Quinn's mother, Ms. Smith, makes it crystal clear that she hopes the child in question isn't her grandchild at the end of the day. But even she admitted that her son will be broken if Quinn Jr. isn't his, because he loves that little boy. That little boy, the one caught between two families, lies, and drama, deserves a fresh start. But to get there, we need the truth. It's time for the DNA test results.
Mr. Andrew, you are the father. Ms. Adams, you say you were caught. Defendant doesn't believe he fathered your 13-month-old twins, Kamarion and Kamariana. You testify that you are 100% certain he is and plan to prove it today in court. Is that correct? You state that another man was
13 months ago, a pair of twins were born, Kamarion and Kamariona. But behind their innocent faces lies a web of confusion, betrayal, and one mother who got caught playing a dangerous game between two men. Markeith Spencer walked into the courtroom today demanding answers. He says he was led to believe these twins were his. The young man was there in the beginning and was emotionally invested, until suddenly he wasn't. Apparently someone else might be the dad. That someone? Her ex of 13 years.
Kind of going through my vulnerable stage and things like that. I had went out actually one day, to the bar, and that's when I had met Markeith.
All right, so you were in a long-standing relationship.
Yes.
And then you broke up.
Yes.
And during that time, you were intimate with Mr. Spencer.
Yes.
Did you use protection?
Christian Adams says she was vulnerable, fresh out of a breakup, alone, and one night at a bar, she met Markeith. What followed wasn't a fairy tale. It wasn't even a relationship. It was casual, unprotected, and it got very real, very fast. She got pregnant. At that moment, she says, there was no doubt in her mind. Markeith was the father.
Sexual relationship, you didn't use protection?
Yes, sir.
But
Yes,
you
sir.
weren't in a committed relationship?
No, we were.
Was also intimate with anybody else?
No, I didn't.
Miss Adams, were you intimate with anybody else during that time?
No, I was not.
So how soon after you broke up with your ex did you meet Mr. Spencer?
I'll say like about 2.5 months later.
But then, everything changed when photos of the twins surfaced online. That's when her ex's mother saw them and made a bold claim, and that's when the lines between truth and manipulation started to blur. Christian didn't correct her. She didn't deny it. Instead, she let the narrative take shape. Because secretly, there was a rekindling old flame.
Once I had the babies, the pictures went out on the internet, and that's when my ex-mother called me and said that those are my grandbabies. They look just like my son.
And so once she said that, had you been thinking of that in the back of your mind all this time? Never.
Never. My ex side of the family and everything about the boy, Kamarion, they were saying he looked like.
While Markeith sat in the dark, wondering what went wrong, her ex, Mitchell, walked right back into the picture. And according to Ms. Adams, the minute Mitchell returned, she shut Markeith out. Only one problem. She wasn't honest about something she told him. The young mother crafted a complete lie, just to close the door on one man and open the door for another.
Probably a couple months after I was away, I've been going, I talked to her, kept in contact with her the whole time, like her pregnancy or whatever we talked, she was, writing me letters and stuff saying like how these was and then communication was changing. Like, they told me like, well, we did a DNA test already.
But now, both men believe the twins could be theirs. Mitchell's mother, Ms. Jernigan, was tagged in baby photos online. Photos of the twins. Photos that reignited old feelings and stronger convictions. Now, this is beyond a love triangle. What would Graham Q. Jernigan do if her alleged twins were her grandchildren after all? It would be a devastating blow.
And once that happened, he said, okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and come back. Once he came back, without a shadow of a doubt, I didn't even want to deal with Mark at all.
All right, so once your ex came back, you were done with Mrs.
Any way he was able to get in contact with me, changed everything, And when he did contact me, or his ex contacted me,
sent me pictures of Christian Page, and I seen.
Eventually, the potential grandma is invited into the courtroom. Apparently, she showed the pictures to her whole family. Everyone agreed. So what did she do? She stepped in, claiming her role as grandmother, visiting the babies, supporting Ms. Adams, and building a bond with these children.
The first week that they was born, Kristen's mom called me. So she said by now, look, take a look at the babies. Look at these pictures. Something ain't right. So she sent me the pictures. So I'm like, I started sending them through the family. And the family's like, oh my God, these Mitchells. When they was 2 weeks old, I went down there. Yes, he saw pictures of me on Facebook.
Everything seemed to be in place until one day, Ms. Jernigan saw Markeith walk out of a friend's house with photos of the babies, claiming he was the father. Markeith couldn't take it anymore. He was been lied to. He was strung along. Then he was erased. And the heartbreak didn't end there, because while Mitchell was being welcomed back into the picture, Markeith was locked out, cut off from the twins, denied the chance to even be a dad. But he didn't give up. He showed up. Now, he wants one thing and one thing only: the truth.
I saw Marquise at one of Kristen's friend's house.
Yes.
He said, these are my babies. So he was trying to show me some.
Well, originally I came over there and Mitchell was coming in the door and he wanted to talk to me. So Christian like, Mitchell want to talk to you. He was like.
In a rare moment of honesty, Christian admitted what everyone suspected. She used the babies as leverage. The twins' mother was playing emotional chess with the hearts of two men and the futures of two children. But is it too late to make it right? Because now, both men have become attached, and so have both families.
So it wasn't like I was being messy about it or anything.
Well, no, but what is clear, though, Ms. Adams, from your testimony is you have allowed, at certain times, both men to believe.
There's one more twist. The twins, Kamarion and Kamariona, are fraternal. That means they could, in theory, have two different fathers, which would mean both men could be right or both could be wrong. Ms. Adams looks at Markeith and says something she believes to be the truth. Ms. Jernigan, who spent months loving and supporting the twins, now sits in silence, her heart clearly torn. Markeith only cares about the truth. And now, it's finally time.
Is the father of 1-year-old Kamariana Adams Spencer. It has been determined by this court, the biological father, pertaining to whether Mr. Williams or Mr. Spencer. You claim the defendant led you to believe you fathered her son, Kamani, for an entire year, but just 6 months ago told you are not the father and refuses to let you see him. You are here to prove that Kamani is your biological son. Is that correct?
He signed the birth certificate, cut the umbilical cord, and held the baby before the mother did. For a year, he believed he was the father. And then one day, 6 words ended it all. Now she won't let him see the baby. He's off the lease, out of the house, erased from her life. But there's one thing she can't erase: his name on the birth certificate.
The reason why you haven't seen my son in 6 months is because he is not the father. Letting him sign the birth certificate, and I just feel I feel bad because I let him do it.
Yes, Your Honor, this is my son right here.
And so you had a relationship with him before.
A young man raised in foster care. No father figure in his own life, but when he found out he was going to be a dad, he made a promise. And for the first 8 months of little Kaimani's life, he was present. He had 2 jobs, attended every doctor's appointment, had sleepless nights, and handled diaper duty. But the woman he trusted, the woman he was living with, was hiding a truth she didn't want to face.
I asked her if it was mine, and she said, yeah, you're the father.
She did. And so you asked her point blank, is this child mine? And she said, yes, you're the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. DeVos, do you remember that conversation?
Miss DeVos let Mr. Walker sign the birth certificate, claim the baby, and watched him bond, attach, love, and she said nothing. But deep down, she claimed she was scared. The other man lived in another city. Mr. Walker was there. So she made a choice, and because of that choice, here we are today.
When I looked at my son, after I got through my surgery and everything, after he seen my son before I did. After I looked at my son, I just knew, like, he been here all this long, but I can't turn back.
Pregnant, or that the baby was born and he could potentially be the...
But the damage was already done. The young mother says she regrets it and didn't mean to hurt him. She claims she just wanted someone by her side. But when the baby came and she saw the truth in his eyes, she still stayed silent. But eventually, the lie got too heavy. So she did what most people do when they're done with a lie. She passed the pain to someone else. And Mr. Walker, he was the one left standing in the aftermath. Apparently, friends and family members had a lot to say.
So you just chose the man that was closest to you and was ready to step up, so you would have someone to go through this process. Mr. Walker, did you have any idea any of this was going on after you saw your baby come into the world? Where?
One day, they got into a fight. He brought up the baby. He said, "You're not thinking about our son." Her reply was as cold as Alaska. She broke the ice just like that. No warning, no DNA test, no respect. That left Mr. Walker devastated. But the worst part? He didn't just lose his relationship. He lost the baby he held in the delivery room. The baby who carried his name. The baby whose birth certificate still says Walker.
It was May, June, around one of those times. Believe we were arguing, and I also have some text messages.
You say you kicked me out with damn near no place to go. You wasn't thinking about our son or anything.
You think Ms. DeVos was cold? Wait till you hear what she said next. She literally told Mr. Walker she didn't ask him to be her baby's father. According to her, he chose that fate for himself. Whoa! How could she be so cold to someone who has always been there for her? Or is there something we're missing here? Well, as you would expect, Judge Lake takes her to school.
He had the option if he wanted to be there or not. I didn't beg or ask him to be there. He had the option.
Now, I'll let you stand here thus far and state your testimony. Now, you sitting up here acting like Satan's sidekick in here talking about you ruined your own life.
The craziest part is this. Ms. DeVos says it's over because Kaimani doesn't know Mr. Walker. Also, she says that her ex, the real father, FaceTimes the baby and plays the role now. Another salt to the injury. But Mr. Walker disagrees. Now, he's forced to watch another man take his place because of a decision she made based on convenience, not truth.
My son, he talks to him over FaceTime, video chat him all the time, every day if he get a chance to. He's that, like, he know who he is, but he's not.
And Kamani is 14 months old now. When he sees your...
Right now, he's still listed as the father, legally, officially, permanently, until a court says otherwise. He says if the DNA test confirms he's not the father, he's not playing second-step dad, but you can see it in his eyes. This wasn't just about a title. It was about the bond. A bond he never had as a child. One he was determined to give. Now, that bond is shattered.
His biological father that's gonna be in his life. I'm not about to play a second role, stepdaddy or nothing like that if he's not even my blood. If he's not mine, she moving on with her little family or whatever.
But there's still one final question. Is she telling the truth, or is this another twist in a story built on fear, survival, and silence? Because Mr. Walker still believes there's a chance. He feels that child is his. He remembers the first cries, the late nights, the connection, and for him, that means something. But today, feelings will no longer guide the story. All that matters now is the DNA test result.
Mr. Walker, you are not the father.
Stupid liars on paternity court.
Trying to be on his good side because I didn't want us to be on bad terms.
How did you see her messages? You looked through her phone?
I went through her phone.
And you could see it all there.
I can't trust her. I lied about nothing. I know what I did. I paid for extra.
You proved what you wanted to. You proved that I'm such that you think I am. You proved it.
It's not that I wanted to know for a
proved it.
fact.
No,
I wanted to know
proved
for a fact.
So imagine this. Miss Rogers and Mr. Stone, former elementary school sweethearts, suddenly bump into each other after years apart. And who got pregnant during that time? Yeah, right, Miss Rogers. But guess what? Now the defendant is denying her child. It's like a rom-com, isn't it?
One day, after some years of being apart, we went back to my friend's house with her boyfriend, and we had sex that day. And after that, it's just like, repeatedly, we would hang out, have sex, and it went on about like a month. Once I found out that he had a girlfriend, we stopped talking. I did not have no idea that he had a girlfriend.
All right, considering the age of the defendant and the sudden encounter, maybe the defendant did lie just for the sake of playing bedsheets with the lady. I mean, like, come on, you could have just asked Miss Rogers. Her enthusiasm shows she wasn't willing to say no, as Mr. Stone explains.
When I walked into that house, she was at one of my friends' house. And when I walked in, she was already hugged up with one of my friends.
I was not hooked up with nobody. When he walked in the door, I was sitting at the table.
On his lap.
I was not on nobody's lap. When he came in the door, I was sitting at the table. The friend that he was talking about was in the kitchen. I was not sitting on nobody's lap.
Oh boy, just listen to what the defendant testified next. Y'all better wash your ears after hearing that. Apparently, when his lie got caught, Mr. Stone, Miss Rogers, and the infamous girlfriend decide to spice things up to the next level. It was like McDonald's adding Szechuan sauce instead of ketchup with every meal.
So you didn't use protection in a threesome with Miss Rogers and another...
The other girl was my girlfriend.
That what? He did not tell me about. He did not tell me that this girl was his girlfriend. Yes, he said that he was was talking to a girl before, but he told me that right then he was single. I would not have kept sleeping with him if I would have that he was in a relationship.
However, Miss Rogers did deny the accusations. She testified of not knowing the man and never had intimate moments with him when she was with Mr. Stone. However, according to the defendant, he has been friends with all the people she now claims to be friends with.
At the time you were sleeping with Mr. Stone, were you sleeping with anyone else?
No. The whole time the man was having sex, I did not sleep with nobody else. All these boys in his little friend group that he has, I've known a lot of them a very long time.
She told me she was in a relationship already.
I was in a relationship. I had just got out of a relationship. I was not with nobody when I was with him.
Okay, since now we have that part figured out, Miss Rogers had a date with a doctor. Not for the usual checkup, mind you, but to get a birth control shot. Talk about multitasking. The doctor drops a bombshell of their own about the conception date, and let's just say it adds a dose of medical intrigue to our tale.
I didn't want no more kids because I had just gotten accepted to college. Everything was looking up, so it was like I wanted to put the cap on before anything happened, not knowing that I was already pregnant. So it was like I was scared. I really was, because it was like another baby. So I called them and told them I was pregnant.
We never had that conversation.
No.
Not once.
But when the plaintiff spoke, she said that the defendant was just lying. He even held the sonogram in his hand. Why was there so much contradiction in the testimony? Now my head's literally spinning because no one was willing to cut each other some slack.
What point did you determine the baby was Mr. Stone?
When that day I went to that ultrasound and I found out I was having a boy, and that lady told me when my baby was conceived. The lady said that I got pregnant during the beginning of November.
Okay. Is that when you were intimate with Mr. Stone?
Yes, that was part of the time I was out.
No, Your Honor, we were intimate between the 17th and the 22nd.
You know what happens when there's this much difference in the storyline. And since it was like both of them were just telling a different story, Judge Lake decides to read the DNA results to finalize whose version of the story was true.
Mr. Stone, you are not the father.
Told you I got lying about nothing. I know what I did. I paid for extra. Not cool. child.
It is cool. You proved what you wanted to. You proved that I'm such that you think I am. You proved it.
It's not that I wanted to know for a
proved it.
fact.
No,
I wanted to know for a fact is that my child or not.
You proved it.
Miss Thayer and Mr. Thayer stood before Judge Lake, their troubled marriage hanging in the balance. The wife sought to prove the paternity of their 2 young children, Cadence and Matthew Jr., while the husband, harboring deep mistrust, was all set to divorce if the results did not align with his hopes. Truly, a lot was at stake for these guys.
We don't even have sex anymore. What married couple doesn't have sex? We're young. It's the back and forth, arguing all the time. We argue so much that my son is starting to get mad and yell and repeat some of the stuff that we say. And I want to prove to him that these are his kids. I've done nothing wrong to him for him not to trust me.
So, these guys had less of a marriage and more of a battleground of arguments, which was devoid of intimacy and plagued by insecurities. Well, what do you expect when one has an open relationship? Mommy had been highly disappointed with the species of men. Can't argue with that.
At some point, you find out you're pregnant.
Yes, that is correct, Your Honor.
And what happens from there?
I didn't know what to say because I wasn't planning on having any more kids. I mean, I had 3 girls already, so I was already a single mom.
Were you all using protection?
No.
Well, then you were planning on having another baby.
That is correct.
Moving on, the defendant had done his math, and it was way off by his calculations, and we know that only furthers his doubts. Well, if he had math, baby mama had the conception night. Yeah, Duke can play this game. However, it seems she was playing with fire deliberately by bringing up stupid arguments.
You feel emotional because
it hurts. I mean, I love him or I wouldn't have married him. This is the person that I want to spend my life with.
This is my first child too, Your Honor.
Why do you doubt her so much?
Just because of some of the things that she says when we do get in arguments, she brings up the fact that she would sleep with somebody else. That's like puts a big seed in my head, and I work 11-hour days.
Up next, the couple delved into the heart of their trust issues. And boy, were they a lot! All love was lost between this couple by the looks of it, and now they were grasping for the truth desperately.
I uprooted my whole life for him. I'm only around you. I'm not around anybody else.
But I don't know that, Your Honor.
That
I'm not so certain that she's only with me.
During that trip, he claims you weren't intimate.
We were at least 4 times.
In the house that we were staying in, it was my aunt's house in Mexico, so it was almost impossible for us to be intimate.
But hold on, because it appeared the baby daddy wasn't a goody two-shoes either. Yep, not only did they play the revenge games in their marriage, but they brought the same game plan to the courtroom too. And they were going strong.
We were having sex one night, and he's texting another woman. He loves her.
This was after after I seen the messages that she was sending.
He's just started unlocking his phone since we got married. He just started unlocking his phone. Until around the time, about a month and a half before we got married, then he unlocks his phone. I knew how to get in his phone, but his phone stayed locked.
Well, it seemed the mommy wasn't the only one disappointed by the other gender. Yep, Mr. Thayer has had it with the female species as well. What the heck was going on with these guys? It was getting more and more serious.
I've been in a bunch of relationships.
But the things that you say when we get in arguments, though.
But a lot of the stuff that you've done, what you need to realize, a lot of the stuff that you've done is hurting. I'm tired of walking on eggshells. I'm tired of being miserable. It's not fair. It's not fair to my daughter. It's not fair to our son. It's not fair at all. I'm 1,000% sure that these are your kids.
And that's why I'm here, so I can find that out for sure.
Up next, we got to one of the most crucial parts of this court proceeding, the lie detector tests. Yep, the husband dearest put the wife under the polygraph. Now, let's see whether she can pass with flying colors or not.
In the last 4 years, have you had sexual contact with anyone other than the 2 men you have previously disclosed? The lie detector determined you were being deceptive. Or have you had sexual intercourse with anyone other than him? The lie detector determined you were being deceptive.
Well, Mrs. Thayer failed both the questions, and quite spectacularly, might I add. Oh, this doesn't look good for her now, does it? And so, Mr. Thayer was prepared to let go of all of this if the results weren't in his favor. Oh dear.
I've spent like the last 4 years of my life, I've lost my family behind her because they don't approve of her having multiple kids.
They don't approve of my color, my skin color. In my inbox on Facebook, I've been harassed daily.
I've told them all, and that's one of the reasons why I don't talk to them, because if they can't be happy for me because I'm happy, then I don't need them in my life.
With their relationship hanging by a mere thread, the courtroom drama unfolded, finally leading to the pivotal moment. Yup, the revelation of the DNA test results. The tension, the uncertainty, and the stakes were higher than ever. Here we go, people.
Mr. Thayer, you are the father.
I told you. Can I give her a hug?
Absolutely.
I love you too.
I'm at ease now.
You look like it.
Yeah.
The plaintiff and the defendant were a couple navigating the rough seas of their relationship, but it was far from smooth sailing. You see, Miss Jackson dropped a bombshell, telling Mr. Taylor that their bun in the oven might not be his creation. But wait, there was a twist. She later flip-flopped. Yup, and claimed Mr. Taylor was the biological daddy.
In your opinion, do you believe he has a right to doubt this?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. I believe that he has a right to doubt it because I gave him the right to doubt it, but I feel that he knows how much I care for him, and I am praying today that these results show that he is the father of Raymond because our relationship is riding on it.
Oh, the drama. This relationship was thick of it. Miss Jackson openly admitted to an affair during the oh-so window of conception, and that sent Mr. Taylor reeling into a tailspin of betrayal. But wait. It appears the baby daddy left the poor woman stranded. Seriously, man?
You gotta understand, it was my girlfriend and our kids in a shelter. I couldn't do nothing there because it wasn't no job opportunities in Orlando. So I went for it. I tried to get in contact with her. When she was there, she was at a youth shelter. And at the
He didn't
youth
try
shelter,
to get in contact with me.
At the youth
I
shelter.
tried to get in contact with him. I didn't even know that he was in Atlanta for 2 days.
Well, the fresh start turned stale pretty soon. Mr. Taylor was off chasing his dreams in Atlanta, and Miss Jackson found solace in the arms of Mr. Green. And guess what? That's not the whole story. Yup, it seemed Mr. Taylor, blissfully unaware of the affair, finally tried to reach her, but met only silence.
If he would have never left us there in the first place, this whole situation could have been avoided. If he would have just been a man about the situation, be a man about the situation.
They have no money.
Leave a message.
Kids was on the verge of getting taken away.
I'm going to go.
He's saying,
but
Miss Jackson,
when I left,
you never spent your money.
Let's get some order.
Hold on tight, fellas. It's gonna get bumpy. Baby mama immediately reached the worst conclusion when she did not hear a peep from the defendant while he was away. And when he did, bam! Mommy was pregnant. Talk about a whirlwind of events, am I right?
You all deciding to be boyfriend and girlfriend?
Yeah,
or you
wiped
just
up,
having
It was a rebound thing, Your Honor. He was going through a situation with the mother of his child, and I was going through a similar situation. It wasn't right, but it was emotions at the time. When you feel that you want someone to be there, but I couldn't have that at the time. So I felt that I wanted someone there to care for me, Your Honor.
So now mommy was knocked up, but she didn't let Mr. Taylor know just yet. Yup, these guys started talking again. But little did he know, there was a heck of a surprise waiting for him. And so, when he did get to know, the conception window was a sea of uncertainty.
She was pregnant on October 12th. You know how long it takes to conceive a child, right? It takes a minimum of 3 weeks. So it tells you that she was intimate with him within a week of me leaving. To her to find out by the 28 days later that she was pregnant.
In your statement to the court, you said you didn't learn about this until she was 9 months pregnant?
Yes.
So we know Miss Jackson led the guy to believe it was his baby. Not for long, though. Guess she couldn't hold it in anymore. And baby daddy was all set to narrate the events of that fateful day. Pretty soon, though, a series of text messages revealed the emotional turmoil between these guys.
He knows the situation behind that, Your Honor. I was messaging Mr. Green because I knew that he was potentially the father of my child. And yes, I was messaging him trying to be on his good side because I didn't want us to be on bad terms.
How did you see her messages? You looked through her phone?
I went through her phone.
And you could see it all there.
I can't trust her.
Partnership or a relationship? That was the real question here. And to shed light on this, Mr. Green stepped up and stated his version of the story. And boy, did he have some juicy nuggets to share.
I met her in the shelter. She told me that he had left her for a rap career in Atlanta, just left and didn't want nothing to do with her. She got 2 kids. So I sat there and I felt bad. We vibed, and then I was going through stuff with my baby mom at that time. Then it got to a physical level. So I told her that she can come stay with me because I don't want her on the streets, The whole time she be laying in bed with me, I look over, she messaging him stuff.
Moving on, we got to see these guys at an impasse of sorts. Yep, there were quite a few versions of how the baby mama moved out of the house of Mr. Green, and that further fueled the doubts and reservations swirling around this pregnancy. It was a series of stupid lies, one after another.
I haven't had any contact with him since my son was a month old.
Put up my Facebook right now, all the messages you trying to ask me to get DNA test. Stop stunting on.
If you know that you're a potential father, why wouldn't you want to take a DNA test to see if this your child?
You should know who the father is. That's your issue right
But
there.
wait a minute.
I'm guaranteeing
It's
it.
about you.
Why?
You know
Maybe
that
you
you're a
been
potential
faithful to
father.
me with nice issue.
Let's get some more.
Even after all that drama, the baby daddy Taylor still stepped up for the role of fatherhood. Yup, but the paternity doubt was wreaking havoc on his mind, and both the daddies didn't want anything to do with the baby mama. Ouch, that's gotta hurt.
Mr. Green, what if it's determined that Raymond is your biological child? Then what?
And it's my child. I want something to do with child. I don't want nothing to do with her. That's dead. Ain't nothing.
You're a deadbeat.
You don't want a daddy. You want a permanent babysitter for your children, all right? You want to be able to go out.
No, I don't.
You don't want
I don't
no
need
father,
a
all right?
babysitter.
You
I don't need a
that.
permanent baby.
All right,
Right.
let's calm down. Let's go to the results.
Time to spill the DNA beans. Finally, the results were in, and the tension in that courtroom was thicker than a brick wall. Will Mr. Taylor walk out as a father or a single man? Only the big reveal can tell.
His biological father is Mr. Green.
If that's mine, that's good. And I respect you for being there.
I was about to say, you got a good child now.
Quiet!
Yes, ma'am.
I'm so sick of your little nonsense mouth running.
Yes, Your Honor.
You a tall glass of nothing. Sitting up here clowning in this courtroom today, clapping and smiling, acting like a buffoon. I don't think I've ever said this in this courtroom before, Jerome, but I pray he's not this child's father.
She with a whole nother dude doing her pregnant.
No, I was
What,
not.
you on the 25 gonna be with somebody else, a pregnant
you
woman?
is
That-
lying.
that
You
ain't
a
his baby.
composed liar.
What-
I
what is
wasn't with
composed?
nobody. I
She
wasn't
didn't
with
talk
nobody.
until
Thank you.
after this baby was born.
Baby.
This man cheated on his wife with this woman and very casually told her about it. Now he's in court denying her baby and claiming that the 1-month-old baby could belong to just anybody. Babies are made when men cheat too, Mr. Stewart. They don't just fall from trees.
Numbers, and from there we hooked up a couple of times or whatever.
So first you just dating casual?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we always had to get a room, and I used to ask him like, I'm tired of going to the room, can we go to your house? You said you have a house, you own it. And he was like, I have unwanted company there.
Would you look at that? He consistently took her to hotels. They kept cheating while being hidden from the world like fugitives. If the woman did not ask questions about his life and the unwanted company, he never would have mentioned it. To think that he really called his wife unwanted company too.
Did you meet Miss Dallas, date her casually, have sex with her, and finally only later tell her that you were married?
It didn't quite go like that.
How did it go?
It didn't come up. I felt like it didn't come up. Yes, Your Honor.
So wait, you were basically out acting like a single man?
No, I wasn't acting. Yeah.
Oh, the audacity of this man. He's out here saying that it never came up? Trust me, if you wore your wedding band or acted like a married man in the first place by not picking up women at the bar, then maybe you wouldn't be in this situation. What a guy, really.
Okay, so you were out there acting like a single man, but you were married.
Yes, Your Honor.
Were you getting a divorce then?
I wasn't in. I didn't have it filed, but in my head, yeah, I was getting a divorce.
In your head. That means you were still married.
Yes.
Moving on. So, how often did you see one another if you're married with your wife living at home?
Oh, that's it. Every day.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. This place is starting to look like a circus. Someone get Mr. Stewart a colored wig and some makeup because we have a clown in court. This man claims that he was getting a divorce in his head, but he hadn't filed it yet. Does not stop him from sleeping with God knows how many women alongside his wife, though.
Yeah, I thought everything was gonna be okay after that. And then when I found out I was pregnant, Cedric was happy or whatever.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
So you were genuine, even though you were still married to your wife, you were happy your mistress was pregnant.
Yes.
Do you have any other children?
Yes.
You do? How many?
3.
With your wife?
No, we have no kids. Common.
Oh my goodness. The moment you think it can't get worse, it goes ahead to do just that. This man has at least 3 children outside of his marriage. He's been married for 10 years too. How does one stay 10 years in an unhappy marriage? You keep divorce papers in your head. That's how. Just like Mr. Stewart, who's keeping divorce papers in his head and nothing in real life.
Started beginning doubt. So-called my associate was telling him and his wife that I was sleeping around with.
Knew you?
Yeah.
They start giving you information?
Yeah. But it was the same friend that sent him naked pictures of herself to him, telling him that I was, sleeping around with somebody else. So why wouldn't she?
Oh boy, there is just no saving this man, really. Every minute something worse than the last makes its way out of his mouth. Now he's receiving questionable pictures from other women too? Now why are women who supposedly provide you with information providing you with sex as well, Mr. Stewart?
Because when me and Cedric were supposed to be together, Roberta sent me a picture of him and Cedric in the bed. Now Cedric has my name tattooed on him. In the bed, naked together.
His wife sends a picture to you of them in the bed.
Yes, and he was asleep and she was taking a picture. She sent it to me. And
after you're pregnant?
No, she didn't know I was pregnant. We was in a hospital at the time all this.
Oh my goodness. His wife is still with him till now? Does Mr. Stewart still have the divorce papers in his head till today? Imagine going with your husband to court to listen to all of these shenanigans. And wait a bloody minute. He has whose name tattooed where? What a guy.
She got other kids, you know what I mean? I got a relationship with them, so I wouldn't just be gone.
Wait a minute, now you standing next to your wife and you telling me how you gonna be there for your mistress. I'm getting confused. Who are you actually with right now? So you and Miss Dallas are together?
Yeah, we live together.
You live together?
We kind of...
Well, what's that?
You know what I mean?
We live together, but he go back and forth.
Together, but we...
Of course they're still together. We may have thought Mr. Stewart is slow, but dumb and dumber it would seem. Miss Stewart takes the prize. How is she supporting him after everything he has done and is still doing? This woman has her priorities twisted in a bunch.
You're trying to make me look like a fool because you didn't want to be with Lakeitha.
You trying to make herself look like a fool. We don't hear about paternity. You trying to tell her life story, your life story.
We're telling
that
the
ain't got nothing to do
truth.
with the
We're here
baby.
to tell the truth. If you had no doubts, you questioned paternity on the reason you met her.
You all basically know exactly what's happening here, and you know he's playing you all.
Yes, that's it right there. Judge Lake is saying everything we're all thinking. This woman has the audacity to walk into paternity court to defend her silly husband who has at least 3 babies out of wedlock. She has been with him for 14 years too. What a duo. Anyway, the results are in and we get to hear them.
Mr. Stewart, you are the father.
Hey, I told you, baby.
Ms. Dallas, I see you are in tears because
I go through so much with him and his wife. You don't understand. I go through so much, but I'm not trying to go through that. I'm not trying to go through that no more at all.
This is what happened.
This woman is involved with at least 4 different men. Mrs. Shaw, her daughter Kiona, and LeBron Matthews are in court for completely different things. Mrs. Shaw, because she hopes Mr. Matthews is not Kiona's father. Kiona is here because she hopes Mr. Matthews is her father. Mr. Matthew is here because, oh well, he just got a new suit.
You're to be a good father.
That's true.
Is that true, Ms. Shaw?
No, Your Honor. I tried to make things right a long time ago. I tried to get a DNA test. And when we went before the magistrate, he looked at me and told him that he never slept with me.
Yes, it was true because
you told the magistrate you had never had a sexual relationship with Ms. Shaw.
Whoa, wait a minute. In these court cases, we hear situations about baby mamas, exes being in court together, but this time it's way different. The relationship between these 2 people that brought about Kiona seems so much wilder than anything I thought.
And
somebody say wife?
Yeah, they both were married.
So you, and you had a husband?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, so you came to court with your wife?
Correct.
No wonder you said you never had sex with this woman.
Yes.
All right, so you 2 were basically cheating on your spouses with
What a wild turn of events. It absolutely sounds like a plot from a TV show. What an interesting story. How are both parties doing the same thing to their partners, cheating on them with one another? Then, why did Ms. Shaw act so surprised to see that he has a wife?
We both was young, and when she told me she was pregnant, I was too busy trying to enjoy myself because I wasn't trying to be with no one woman. I already had a wife.
So the point is, when you stood in the courtroom with your wife and you said you never slept with Ms. Shaw and you knew you weren't telling the truth, was that because you were scared to lose your wife, or is that because you did not want to be bothered with a child?
Now all of that suddenly adds up. With so many men in her life growing up, Kiona must have felt like she never had a father, regardless. Imagine being around so many father figures and their respective children and still feeling unseen. This one thing would have constantly gotten her sad and needy of fatherly love.
Comfortable, honestly. I felt like I was the stepchild. Like, the way that he was with his other kids, he wasn't like that with me. So I wanted him to feel the way he felt about his other kids about me.
I did, but I wasn't really there either. If I wasn't at work.
Well, whoops. Speaking of the men in Kiona's life growing up, her mother, Mrs. Shaw, did not hold back. She kept them coming. From her ex-husband to her present husband and all the men in between. This woman may or may not have deprived herself of some things in life, but men were not on the list.
He was not the only man that I had slept other men.
Were you honest about that to Miss Thompson, your daughter?
Yes. Yes, she's known all her.
Oh my goodness. It does seem like these two go way back in time. From everything that happened during their relationship, it's no brainer they even have a baby in the first place, really. The energy in court today is quite light too, compared to the usual hostility from both parties.
Because when she first told me that I was the dad, I didn't want to believe it because I was doing my own things. But every time I turned around, I was bringing you fish sandwiches when you was pregnant. Every time you turned around, you was like, babe, I'm hungry. And at the time, you had a husband, and here it is. Wait a minute, okay, but you had threw him out.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. I've had it up to here with these two. Isn't that interesting? I absolutely did not see this coming. How exactly did a married man and a married woman have a baby for one another from an external party? Oh boy.
You remember that. But wait, I want to understand this. So you're pregnant, but your husband's somewhere else.
Right. Because
and
see, that's how that came
your
about.
lover's coming over to feed you some fish sandwiches.
Because my husband was still in and out at the same time when I got pregnant. But that 6 months, I had threw him out of the house. So he had him another girl. I went and got me 4 other guys. And was doing my thing.
Oh boy, what a turn of events. She was not just cheating on her husband with one man, but 5 different men? Now, after Kiona was born, it appears that Mr. Matthews lost his sweet spirit? Come on. Several scenarios point to him not doing up to the bare minimum. Sure, the paternity of the little girl was uncertain. There was so much more to have done better.
The last time you saw Mr. Matthews?
I was a junior in high school, so it's been about 14 years.
Oh my goodness. So, Mr. Matthews, your testimony is true. You've been a pretty bad dad.
Yeah, I was a terrible father.
And that's why you're here, to right your wrongs.
Right, that's correct.
Well, well, well. There's just too much drama unraveled at court with this case. The whole court is bleeding with drama right now. From Kiona's end to Mr. Matthews and his new suit, then back to Ms. Shaw and all her men.
Seeing the baby because where Miss Shaw was living at the time, you know, rumors fly around. First, my grandmother told my mother, then my mother told me, and I was like, nah, no, I'm not gonna sit back there and say yes.
What did they say?
She said, well, the baby look like you. I said, no, it don't. I'm not gonna sit back because I didn't want my wife to know.
Oh my goodness, what a circus that really must have been. After the bickering from all sides of court, we finally have all we're here for. The stories from the past are enough, and the results are in. Who is the father of this young woman with so many childhood scars?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Brooks is not her father. It has been determined by this court. Mr. Matthews, you are not the father. I'm so sorry, Kiana.
He cut all ties with her and her mother just to deny the baby. Mr. Cousin is super insistent that this baby is not his. He went as far as being unreachable just to avoid contact with Ms. Bell and her mother. However, these two are not having it one bit. They claim that he needs to grow up and stop avoiding responsibility.
He told my daughter that he was single, that he was not in a relationship. I know he was in a relationship with her because I seen his picture on her phone. When she started being with him, I seen how her attitude changed. I knew then that she was pregnant.
What a two-timing liar. Mr. Bell really does not want Ms. Cousin to complete her statement. This is interesting. These 3 just got into the courtroom and it's getting hot. Just how long have you kept all of that in, Ms. Cousin? This woman has so much irritation bottled up for this man.
Every time I go out to get lunch, he right behind me. What you eating for lunch? Can you buy me something? Meet me downtown. Tell me I cannot pay his phone bill every time I get paid.
When she should have been.
Were you paying his phone bill?
Yes. While she was paying his phone bill and paying him, buying him lunch, I was also doing other things for me and my husband have a roof over our head.
Well, whoops, look at her go. Oh, Mr. Cousin, why is a woman you're not married to paying your phone bills? Why is she entitled to get you food every single time you're out as well? This man is a classic manipulator. If he's doing this every single time without ever reciprocating, then whoa.
Were you flirting with her at work? You had sex with...
In a car.
Yes. Oh, okay, so you had sex in a car. Did you use protection?
Yes.
No lie.
Yes.
No lie.
Honor.
Destiny, I see the tears in your eyes. What are you feeling right now?
Oh, Ms. Bell is not going to sit still and watch this one slide. Apparently, Mr. Cousin is intent on lying in court because he brought his baby mama with him. He already admitted to flirting with this woman at work and having sex with her in a car. Why deny everything else on the table, Mr. Cousin?
And told her that
child is not mine, the first thing, I don't want no baby by you anyway.
Wait, I don't want a baby by you anyway is different from the baby is not yours. Which did she say?
Both.
Why you lying? Why you don't do that but lie? It's just lying.
Well, it seems like we're not going to get any truth out of Mr. Cousin at any point today. What is this man's deal exactly? He's changing his story each time to suit his argument. Now you can't remember what she said to you accurately anymore? Classic move.
I was pregnant with our second daughter, and I guess you could say a mutual friend happened to recognize Cortez on her page, like for his pictures and stuff like that, and he asked if Cortez and I were still together, and I was just like, you know, of course. So he gave me her name or whatever.
Oh, poor girl. You wouldn't say they were in a relationship like both of you are? Honey, if your man was 100% clean, you're not supposed to find a page where another woman puts up his picture and says she loves him. It's not even going to exist.
We slept together 3 times, unprotected, and he know that.
Where'd you all go?
We'll go anywhere.
Where we went? Where did we go?
In the car, it don't matter.
Where did we go?
And we went
Since
to the
was
club
on a
with
date.
your cousin them. You know that.
So what you're saying is you all would go out or have sex, but he'd always leave.
Yes.
Whoa. He's denying everything at this point. What's next, Mr. Cousin? You're going to deny even having sex in the first place? Or what? You're going to deny ever even meeting her? And why does his girlfriend support him in any of this? Regardless, he still cheated on you and would do it again. Another case of Dumb and Dumber, it would seem.
Hold on. Mr. Bell, I'm getting tired of your side talking, because I'm going to tell you what it looks like. Every time they go to testify, you talking over them, and the only thing it looks like to me is that you don't want me to hear what they're saying because they're telling the truth. Because you got a nice girl. But you over there sniffing up at this little girl at work, letting her buy you food and pay your phone bill. Now you here in this courtroom.
Finally, she's saying everything we're all thinking. You're not fooling anyone, Mr. Cousin. None of your lies or dimwit manipulative tactics are fooling anybody. Let the women speak without your pesky side comments since they let you speak when you gave your state.
Never told you that.
No, she told me that he came over there. That's when she messaged me on Facebook. And when I asked him, he told me no. And then when I hear that something about a truck, he doesn't have a truck. So if he stays with me, I know exactly what he had.
Impala.
Oh, now he's done it. He's denied going to see her at her mother's house, even while Ms. Cousin's mom was right there too. What is with hopefully Judge Lake can take us out of this misery and she does it fast. The DNA results are out and we get to hear them.
You are the father.
Thank you, Lord Jesus.
Everything.
You got 2 innocent women standing here.
Both of them crying.
Sad and hard.
And you got your hands behind your back and your body language is saying you could care less.
This man has a mistress, but he wants to save his marriage and right his wrongs. Not sure that paternity court is the perfect scene for that, but let's see how that goes down. After dating her for months, Mr. Hartfield asked his mistress to have a baby for him since he has not been able to have any of his own.
Your Honor, please.
For Halloween.
It's hard for me to sit here and tell you that's a lie.
What is the truth according to you?
The truth is, I believe that it's possible that she's thinking about someone else because she and I did meet, that is a fact, and we did talk, and I found her to be very attractive at the time. And I even, did things to convince her that, okay, maybe I will be a guy that she could take a chance with as far as going out on dates.
But you were married.
The way this man jumped into Ms. Streeter's statement is suspicious. He really did not let her finish, but went on to announce to Judge Lake that she's lying about everything she's saying. Now, what is she lying about, Mr. Hartfield? He shot himself in the leg because he confessed that he was married while in a relationship with her. Married.
And I had went on Facebook and found the relative, then found Mrs. Hartfield page, then that's when I seen pictures of them. And I didn't even call her right away because he had told me, like, them pictures are old, she's professional, and for her image, she can't, she don't want people to know that we're not together. Matter of fact, I didn't even call her, I text her and let her know, like, your husband's been treating on you for 8 months and I'm 5 months pregnant.
Whoa, Mr. Hartfield. Looks like we were all unfamiliar. So he's still in her DMs asking for sex? And what's all this about stalking his relative? This man lied about him being married. Or at least he hid the truth. She stalked him until she found his wife on social media, then shot her a text.
The next line says, I'm serious, I am horny as hell.
I did send those messages.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I did.
But he's a married man.
Hold on. Let me explain to you why. Because of this game that she and I like to play, that she likes to play. If I don't do that, Dominique goes ballistic. And we were playing this game, but now that we're in court, it seemed like some old man has been trying to hit on a young lady.
This entire thing is almost hilarious. hilarious. Almost. The humor leaves the minute you realize that Mr. Hartfield is older than double her age. He texted her earlier this week about how horny he is. Well, Mr. Hartfield, perhaps you should go to meet your wife. What sort of silly, lying, dishonest man is this?
Found one that was an older guy, and she thought that I would be a cake daddy, or however you want to call it. The thing is that she found out, hey, you're dealing with a guy that ain't got no money, so now you what she's been doing.
Nobody don't care about money, because I was with here because I love him.
Daddy hangs
Genuinely,
up on you,
I was supposed to be
for money.
Oh my goodness. It's so disheartening that this man could possibly be the father of this baby. Honestly, he's a clown, a joker, whatever, you name it. At this point, he's painting all the pictures possible to support all his baseless lies.
Your wife does not look happy.
Your Honor,
your wife is sitting there having to listen to testimony about you sending text messages to a 22-year-old girl.
This is ridiculous. And I asked him about it, and he said, oh, she's just some little girl. She ain't nobody. I didn't like texting, so I called her. And I'm like, we had a conversation. It was a decent conversation.
Really? Look at his wife staring at him the moment he opened his mouth. It's hard to imagine that she would be feeling anything other than shame and regret right now from being married to this excuse of a husband. What a woman. She really has no expectations from this man, and she knows him so well.
Absolutely crazy nuts what she's saying.
What is
if I don't want to be with her, will you look at this queen right here? If I
you wouldn't have
hold on. No, you said because I don't want to be with you.
I have a picture
I'm just saying, Your Honor, I do have options. Even my wife, I love her. God knows I do. During the time that Dominique and I met, I had my own place.
He was still living with me. I didn't know he had his own place.
Wait a minute, I don't need her support. I don't need your support. I don't need her support. Please sit her down.
Oh my goodness, this is getting embarrassing. Mr. Hartfield, maybe you should sit down instead. What does he mean, calling his wife a queen, then telling her to sit down, adding that he does not understand why she's here? What an excuse for a husband, really.
Well, wait a minute.
Your Honor, only by your wish.
You seem like you're getting flustered.
I don't like it. That's why I stepped out and had intercourse.
Oh, now it's her fault.
Because I never got her support or anything.
To me, when I first met him, he had a lot of women he talked to.
Of course.
A lot.
Of course.
Okay, this man puts the S in stupid. It's official. He came into court today saying that he wants to save his marriage, and the results of the paternity test is important to him because he wants to redeem himself in front of his wife. Now, he's wholeheartedly admitting that he had intercourse with Ms. Streeter and a bunch of other women.
Yeah.
And this is baby Caleb
together.
I
did that last week.
Also,
something else.
Baby, sit down, please. You ain't got nothing to do with this.
I sure don't have anything to do with it.
I wish
Pick your lie.
Why are you here?
Because you asked me to be here.
Mr. Hartfield, I'm going to let you pipe down just a little bit because your tone, while you talking to your wife, is making me edgy.
I understand.
It's making me edgy, too.
Please sit down.
Oh yes, Judge Lake. Mr. Hartfield is pissing everyone off in court. It's genuinely surprising that this man has these two women with him in court today. It's almost baffling. This is the one time that two women are in paternity court over a man and they are not cursing each other. Rightfully so, too. I mean, look at him.
That's you. Foolishness. And I didn't need it, and I didn't ask for it.
I want a divorce.
We good. I'm good with that. Not a problem.
You're classic.
Thank you.
You're classic. You really are.
Thank you.
I mean, it's just, if I pulled up the profile of cheater, con man, clown, and coward,
results,
your face would be next to it.
Oh my goodness. Every single outburst from this man is irritating. This is his 7th wife? How long have you been manipulating women, Mr. Hartfield? My goodness. This needs to end. This case, I mean. Here are the results.
One of the most disappointing men I've ever seen in this courtroom.
Thank you.
You are really, I mean, what a disgrace.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
I mean, you really should be so ashamed to see the good in everyone.
Right.
I don't think I've ever said this in this courtroom before, Jerome, but I pray he's not this child. You are the father.
Okay, that's cool. Okay.
Do you understand now what you just made a child with?
Right.
What you cheering? I'm a single mother with nobody that loves me or my child. What you cheering for? He is over here breaking down because he loves this child so much. I sit here day after day with women hoping a man would drive 16 miles to see their baby.
Prepare for a heart-wrenching episode of Paternity Court as we dive into the conflict-laden case of Crow versus Reinhardt. This case unveils a tangled web of grief, denial, and the quest for truth surrounding the paternity of 2-year-old Thomas Crow, allegedly fathered by the late J.C. Turner.
Miss Crow, you have summoned the defendant to court to prove that her deceased son, J.C. Turner, fathered your 2-year-old son, Thomas. You want Thomas Thomas to know who his father is, and you say that Ms. Reinhardt has done everything she can to sabotage your efforts. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Reinhardt, you state that Ms. Crow is a liar and a manipulator, and that the child in question is not your deceased son's baby. You say Ms. Crow used your son for money when he was alive, and now it's trying to claim him as her son's father.
From the get-go, emotions run high. Ms. Crow has dragged Ms. Reinhardt to court to prove that Reinhardt's deceased son, JC, is the biological father of her young son, Thomas. Ms. Crow's motive? To cement her son's identity and heritage, despite Ms. Reinhardt's strong objections and accusations of manipulation for financial gain.
I would like help with my son, yes, of course, but my son cannot grow up and meet his father. So he deserves that right to know who his father is and to know who his family is.
And to this point, he doesn't have any real knowledge of his father. You have not talked to him about his father, or have you?
I have.
You have?
Actually, when my son was first born and he was, just a few months old, I would talk on the phone every day with Jay, and I would put him on speakerphone so his son could hear his voice.
Okay. And so, Ms. Reinhardt, you don't believe your son is Ms. Crow's child's biological father?
No.
The air in the courtroom is thick with antagonism as Ms. Reinhardt labels Ms. Crow a liar, challenging the timing of her pregnancy and the paternity claim. She argues with conviction, backed by a mother's intuition, that Thomas cannot be her grandson, pointing out discrepancies in Ms. Crow's story and the absence of family resemblances that are strong in her lineage.
Looking at that picture,
I understand.
My son and I had a very tight relationship, and Jay would tell me everything when nobody else was around. I knew my son inside and out, and I just don't, as a mother, as a grandmother, having 4 babies of my own, my gut tells me this is not my grandson. I do not see my son in that. I don't. I'm sorry. I don't.
So, Ms. Crow, can you talk to me about the relationship?
When I first met Jay, we were at a skate park. I noticed him in the parking lot, and I called him over to me, and we had a conversation.
Ms. Crow rebuts with details of her intimate relationship with JC, emphasizing the genuine connection and JC's acceptance of his fatherhood role. She recounts conversations, shared moments, and JC's excitement about his impending parenthood.
Became inseparable. We, developed, feelings, and it did happen all too fast. He did ask me to be his girlfriend, and we did have unprotected sex as well. So there's no doubt in my mind that Jay's the father. I did not sleep with anybody else in that time. When I was with him, to me, there's no other option. And once I, told him about it, he was happy. He was happy to have a child. He never denied my son. And if he was here today, we wouldn't have to be here because he would willingly do so. He never said anything.
The courtroom dynamics shift as personal attacks fly. Ms. Reinhardt doubts JC's capability to discern the truth due to his mental health issues, while Ms. Crow stands firm on her account of their relationship and her faithfulness during their time together.
He'd have believed you if you told him the sky was purple.
Well, that's your own opinion. That's your own opinion.
The mental capacity of a 16-year-old.
And and you know what? He had feelings.
He was schizophrenic.
He had feelings.
He was schizophrenic, and he had stress seizures.
Okay. And I took care of him.
And my son,
I didn't leave him because of that.
Mom. And she could have told him she was pregnant. That's his baby.
So you're saying he did not have the discernment to even say, I don't believe that's my baby?
No. I've had 8 grandkids, and all 8 of my grandkids favor me. I've got a baby picture. If I take that baby picture, I could put it up against my daughter.
As Ms. Crow discusses the physical and behavioral traits Thomas shares with JC, Ms. Reinhardt counters with genetic arguments about Ms. Crow's pregnancy claims. The dispute becomes about the emotional and psychological toll on both parties, highlighting a grandmother's denial faced with a potential grandchild she's never met.
I asked her if she took a pregnancy test, Your Honor. She told me no. I said, you didn't take a pregnancy test. How do you know you're pregnant? I know my body.
Well,
I know
first
what it
of all,
feels
your
like.
hormone levels have to build up to even pass a pregnancy test.
Ooh, did you just learn this?
No, I've been knew this. The truth will set you free. Maybe you'll learn if you actually tell the truth.
Right, okay.
And so you felt like she was being so descriptive that she was really already pregnant?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor. Like I said, I've had 4 kids. I have a bowed left leg. My daughter has a bowed left leg. JC was pigeon-toed from birth.
As we reach the pivotal climax of this heart-wrenching episode, the courtroom pulses with anticipation. The battle lines have been drawn between Ms. Crow and Ms. Reinhardt, each entrenched in their conflicting stories of paternity and denial. What truths will the forthcoming DNA results unveil? The courtroom holds its breath, awaiting the resolution of this deep-seated conflict. Will the DNA test clear the fog of doubt that looms over this case? Is the late JC truly the father of young Thomas, or will a new twist emerge to stun all present in this gripping saga of lineage and legacy?
The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Reinhardt and Thomas Crow is 99.6%. You are related. That is your grandchild. Ms. Reinhardt, you have never laid eyes on your grandchild. Ms. Crow, I have to ask you, would it be okay if you joined me in my chambers with Thomas so that Ms. Reinhardt could meet him, hold him for the first time?
Yes, I would.
In this episode of Paternity Court, truth and past resentments collide. Today's case features Miss Miller and Mr. Rasmussen in a heated dispute over the paternity of 3-year-old Zaylee Rasmussen, a story full of legal battles, long drives, and the quest for fatherhood.
Ms. Miller, you're here to prove to your ex-boyfriend Scotty Rasmussen that he is not the father of your 3-year-old daughter, Zaylee Rasmussen.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim you've been in an ongoing court battle over custody and have petitioned the court several times for a DNA test, all of which have been denied.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Rasmussen, you claim the real reason Ms. Miller is denying your Zaylee's father is because she hates you.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say you've been there for your daughter her entire life, and you're here today to prove you are Zaylee's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Rasmussen, why is Ms. Miller saying you're not Zaylee's father?
The courtroom is tense as Miss Miller seeks to prove that her ex-boyfriend, Scotty Rasmussen, is not the father of her daughter, despite his unwavering belief and dedication. Mr. Rasmussen counters, fueled by conviction and the miles he has traveled, a staggering 10,000 to maintain a relationship with Zaylee, asserting that Miss Miller's actions are driven by vengeance, not truth.
So I was very mad at him for being a cheater. He cheated on me through pretty much our whole relationship. No, I do not hate him because of that. I lost my respect for him, yes.
He says this is about visitation, too. He loves his daughter, but you don't want him to have the visitation. Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why is that?
Because I believe that the only reason why he wants the visitation is to claim her on his taxes.
That is the furthest thing from the truth. I want my visitation because my daughter means the world to me. I want to be in her life as much as I possibly can.
I mean, if he's driving 160 miles each way every other weekend, the money he would get in his taxes, he's spending in gas.
As accusations fly, Mr. Rasmussen reveals his financial sacrifices, including child support and travel expenses, which he argues demonstrate his commitment far beyond any potential tax benefit. Miss Miller, however, stands firm in her belief that Mr. Rasmussen is not Zaylee's biological father, pointing to a timeline that places Mr. Rasmussen in another state at the time of conception.
When she was conceived in March of 2011. He wasn't even in the same state. He was in Vegas. And at that time in March, I wasn't even with him. I was with somebody else because he broke up with me because he cheated on me.
I'll be the first to admit it was a mistake.
Okay, we've gotten the fact that you two have an on and off relationship that has infidelity woven through. I understand that. Ms. Miller, you were stating to the court that you were intimate with someone else and you believe that you were intimate with that other person during the time Zaylee was conceived.
The heart of the matter is explored through intense cross-examinations and emotional testimonies. Mr. Rasmussen recounts the moments he believed he was the only father figure, present at every doctor's appointment and at the birth, his name proudly on the birth certificate. The narrative is a complex web of relationships, misunderstandings, and a woman's staunch claim that another man is Zaylee's real father.
I believed I was, and still believe, I was the only biological father until about 5 or 6 months or so, give or take, after she was born. We were at family court talking to the family court commissioner about custody and the things that go along with that, like where she'd be going to school, her doctor, and all that. And Miss Miller brings it up that I could possibly not be the father because of another man that was involved, and she gave some date, I can't remember the specifics. One of the people we were talking to with the family court commissioner did the math, and it turns out that would be a 10-month pregnancy, and that don't make sense to me.
Drama escalates as Miss Miller challenges paternity based on Mr. Rasmussen's past infidelities and her interactions with another man during the conception period. The courtroom is split with sympathy for Mr. Rasmussen's dedication against Miss Miller's steadfast denial of his biological claim.
I thought we were going to have a happy life and raise our daughter together until about 3 months after she was born. One of his friends told me everything that he was doing throughout our entire relationship, cheating on me, going to multiple places to meet multiple girls. And after that, I'm not even quite sure. After we broke up, he changed his number, he moved, he pretty much disappeared. I have tried to find him, I have tried to get a hold of him, and I can't find him.
But you keep saying, Mr. Rasmussen cheated, he did this, he did that. And as wrong as that may be, you also slept with somebody else.
Hold tight as the courtroom simmers with anticipation for the dramatic climax of this saga filled with secrets and disputes. The moment of truth approaches, and the air is thick with tension. Will the DNA test clarify the swirling clouds of doubt surrounding this case? Is Mr. Rasmussen truly the father of young Zaylee, or will another twist in this tale emerge to shock us all?
Mr. Rasmussen, you are not the father. Miss Miller.
Be respectful.
I'm sorry.
Miss Miller.
I'm sorry.
That's a lot of nerve considering the alternative is somebody that don't want nothing to do with you or your child.
I'm sorry.
That's a lot of nerve. You just showed me where your priorities were right there.
I'm sorry.
Because I held out hope that you weren't just acting a fool because you so mad at him because he cheated on you that you would cheat your child out of a father. But that cheering you did, what you cheering? I'm a single mother with nobody that loves me or my child.
In the emotional case of Tucker versus Mosley, today, the courtroom becomes a crucible for the truths of Miss Tucker, who seeks to confirm the paternity of her 1-year-old son, Keandre Tucker.
Miss Tucker.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're here today for your son, 1-year-old Keandre Tucker.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you say you're unsure whether a man you've been in a sexual relationship with or the defendant's deceased son is his biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Ms. Tucker, you're also suing Ms. Mosley for $3,800 in Social Security benefits.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Ms. Mosley, you tragically lost your son, Eric, a little over a year ago.
Yes,
I'm
Your
so
Honor.
sorry. And now you say you've barely had time to grieve, and Ms. Tucker is coming after you for money.
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Tucker stands before the court, her uncertainty visible, torn between the memory of a man she claims to have been intimately involved with and the defendant's deceased son, whom she believes to be Keandre's real father. Complicating matters further, she is also suing Miss Mosley for $30,800 in Social Security benefits, claiming a financial tether to the legacy of the deceased.
Please take me back to this relationship. Why is it you are so certain that Ms. Mosley's deceased son is your child's father?
Well, from the time that me and Mr. Andrews was together, it wasn't on no relationship type. It was just that we was just messing around. When I met him, I did have a boyfriend, so you know what I'm saying, I was sleeping with 2 people at the same time, but it was more frequent with Mr. Andrews. And when I met him, I remember the exact date as if it was yesterday. I met him February the 6th. It was on my best friend's birthday. I actually have a calendar that I can actually show you too as well.
Jerome, will you hand me this calendar, please?
From February 6th all the way from the 14th through the whole month, I was having sex with Mr. Andrews more frequent than I was with the person I was with.
As Miss Tucker recounts the dates and details of her relationship with Mr. Andrews, the alleged father, the courtroom listens intently. She presents a calendar, pinpointing the timeline of their encounters, aiming to map the conception of her child to their liaison. The precision of her memory clashes with the chaotic nature of her relationships, adding layers of complexity to the paternity puzzle.
On March the 16th, I went and found out I was pregnant, 5 weeks, going on 6 weeks.
So in blue is when you discovered you're pregnant?
Yes, Your Honor.
So the 6th is when you started being intimate with Mr. Andrews?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you're saying throughout that whole month, you were intimate with him?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you counted back
And in your estimation, it was when you were sleeping with Mr. Andrews?
Yes.
But you were sleeping with the other guy as well, without using protection?
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Mosley, still mourning the loss of her son Eric, confronts these claims with both skepticism and sorrow. She challenges Miss Tucker's assertions, fortified by her belief in her son's transparency regarding his other children, and dismayed by the sudden financial claim against her during a time of personal grief.
Your Honor, I'm here today for answers. I tragically lost my son, my best friend. I wear him on my heart every day, everywhere I go. And I just come to court today for answers.
This must be very difficult. You know, you're trying to grieve, you're trying to work through life's tragedies, and then you also have to contend with this petition. It could be tough, and yet at the same time, if in fact little Keandre is your son's biological child, that would be a grandson for you as a part of your son's legacy.
The tension escalates as Miss Tucker details the involvement of Mr. Andrews during her pregnancy, a narrative completely different from the silence Miss Mosley experienced on the matter. Claims of secret checkups and whispered confirmations paint a picture of a hidden side of Eric Andrews that Miss Mosley simply refuses to recognize.
And that's crazy for him to say that, because even during my pregnancy, like, he used to call my mama's phone and check on me, hey, is Cleo okay? Send me some ultrasound pictures, but I ignored him because I'm upset. And it wasn't nothing, reason why I feel like he probably didn't go back and tell his mom about it, because it wasn't no real relationship thing. It was just like, I stepped out on my boyfriend to be with Mr. Andrews. I made a mistake. That was true. But he did check on me. He actually wanted to be a part of it, but I was so upset with him that I just shut him out completely.
Okay, so Ms. Mosley, you know, you and your son were very close. It just strikes me as strange that he would never mention this, and Miss Tucker is saying he was calling and checking on her, and you didn't hear a thing until the best friend said that to you.
Finally, as the courtroom braces for the DNA result, the tension in the air can be sliced. Will the DNA test confirm Miss Tucker's claims and connect little Keandre to Miss Mosley's son, adding a new branch to Eric's legacy? Or will another twist in this complex tale of relationships, loss, and identity emerge to shock us all?
That Mr. Andrew is the biological father.
That's all I wanted to know.
You look happy.
I am. I still have a piece of him.
Now, Ms. Tucker, as it relates to your suit for $3,800 in Social Security benefits, it's something you'll have to go back to your home state and apply through the Social Security Administration. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, but further, I am almost positive, looking at her face, that Ms. Mosley is definitely going to be there for you.